Chapter 53-36. A demonic calamity broke out in the Void Realm, and the origin of this demon was definitely not simple. Moreover, this Void Realm was far from as simple as it seemed on the surface. There were many things that even Gu Fei could not see clearly. This Void Realm actually hid many secrets of heaven and earth. Who would have thought that the boundless demonic source was the key to opening a demonic domain? Moreover, this terrifying demonic domain was opened by Gu Fei himself. If he wanted to refine the demonic source, he naturally had to first refine the seal that appeared on the demonic source. Gu Fei originally thought that the seal on the demonic source was used to seal the demonic power of the demonic source. Who would have thought that the seal not only sealed the demonic power of the demonic source, but also sealed a terrifying demonic domain? From the looks of it, the supreme will in the extreme devil cave was just a little guy guarding the door. What a good move! Gu Fei also had to admire the lord of the demonic domain. All of this was naturally the work of the lord of the demonic domain. This guy was definitely a ruthless character who could seal himself for countless years. The lord of the demonic domain must have sealed himself in the demonic domain to recuperate. The current middle sky had already become the world of the lord of the demonic domain. Moreover, the lord of the demonic domain's ambition was not small. He wanted to devour the world. He wanted to turn the entire Void Realm into a demonic domain. He even wanted to refine the entire Void Realm. Naturally, Gu Fei could not let him succeed. At this time, Gu Fei sent the 7 Buddha Supremes to the border between Middle Sky and South Barbarian to guard the border with Wu Jixien and the other Eternal Warriors. With them there, unless the Lord of the Demonic Domain personally came, no one could attack South Barbarian. At this time, with the return of Gu Fei, no one dared to be a fence-sitter anymore. The 19 vassal kings of South Barbarian no longer lived up to their name. Because East King ran away, the 2 witch kings of the sorcerer tribe, Wu Jiao and Wu Ying, were also killed by Gu Fei's people. 3 of the 19 vassal kings were gone. Now, there were only 16 vassal kings in South Barbarian. Moreover, these 16 vassal kings did not dare to rebel at all because they were only divine kings. Gu Fei's second disciple, Long Xiaoju, was a peak divine king. Xiaoya was also a peak deity realm. Breaking through to the divine king realm was just around the corner. The most amazing thing was that Gu Fei had a disciple of the Tian clan's progenitor. This was an existence that surpassed the emperor realm and was exceptionally powerful. In the entire Middle Sky, there was only one pure land, the ancestral lands of the Sky Race. The demons simply could not attack the ancestral lands of the Sky Race. What a headache! Gu Fei returned to the capital of Nanman. At this time, the border between Nanman and Zhongtian was guarded by the 4 great generals and 7 great Buddha venerables. The demons would not be able to attack Nanman for a while. The entire southern China was relatively safe. At this time, there were many people gathered outside the southern barbarian imperial capital's barbarian imperial palace. The 16 feudal vassal kings were all here, and all the feudal vassal kings were anxiously pacing back and forth outside the closed palace gate. Brother Fierce Tiger, do you have any inside information? At this moment, the Shaman King Wu Fang whispered to the Fierce Tiger King. The Shaman King Wu Fang was also one of the 16 feudal vassal kings of Nanman. The power of the sorcerer tribe was deeply rooted in Nanman. Even the former barbarian emperor could not completely suppress the sorcerer tribe. There were also many places where the sorcerer tribe lived, and those areas were managed by the Shaman King of the sorcerer tribe. All the feudal vassal kings immediately looked at the Fierce Tiger King. One must know that the Fierce Tiger King and the North Garrison King were both Gu Fei's confidants. Naturally, they were the most well-informed. What information can I have? The Fierce Tiger King sneered. At this time, the red-browed Eagle King, Qiu Chenjian, and the others were already in the palace. Brother Fierce Tiger, if you know anything, please tell us. The heaven-battering king laughed. Get lost, I'm not in a good mood right now. The Fierce Tiger King was really in a bad mood. Because of the outbreak of the demonic calamity, the demons could enter Nanman at any time. At that time, they would also become the prey of the demons. The other feudal vassal kings did not dare to say anything. After all, the fierce Tiger King and the others were Gu Fei's confidants. The North Garrison King's mood was also very heavy. No one knew if their master, Gu Fei, could stop the invasion of the demons. It would be best if he could stop the demons. If he couldn't, then everyone would be in big trouble. At this moment, the palace door slowly opened, and a person walked out. This person was Shan Kuei. "All of you, come in." Shan Kuei glanced at the feudal vassal kings, then turned around and walked in. The feudal vassal kings looked at each other and followed. Their master finally summoned them. This made these feudal vassal kings uneasy. Everyone was guessing why Gu Fei summoned them. Of course, it was obvious that it was because of the demonic calamity. Now, other than the demonic calamity, what else could give Gu Fei a headache? The demonic calamity came too suddenly, and all the forces were not prepared. Especially the Buddhist clan, they were in big trouble. The entire land of Buddha became the demon's base camp. The 1000 Buddha Mountain became the 1000 Devil Mountain. And at the peak of the 1000 Devil Mountain, a gigantic devil shadow was inhaling and exhaling the heaven and earth spiritual chi. Every breath of that devil shadow caused the stars in the sky to tremble, as though they were about to collapse. All the heaven and earth spiritual chi in the sky was being drawn over. From the starry sky to the 9 hells, such a huge amount of heaven and earth spiritual chi was being devoured by the devil shadow. This was truly a brazen act of stealing the heaven and earth spiritual chi, disregarding the consequences. Even if the entire mirage was destroyed, this devil shadow wouldn't even bat an eyelid. "This world is going to be mine soon." A voice rang out from the peak of the 1000 Devil Mountain. "This world will not be yours." At this moment, a voice rang out from the peak of the 9 heavens. In the next instant, the dark sky was sliced apart by a beam of cold light. A figure descended from the sky, directly landing on the 1000 Devil Mountain. The boundless heaven and earth spiritual chi was instantly thrown into chaos. "Sword shakes the heavens." The newcomer roared. In the next instant, boundless sword light erupted from his body like raindrops, blotting out the sky and covering the earth as they rained down on the devil silhouette on the myriad Devil Mountain. Devil engulfs the world. The demonic figure on the myriad Devil Mountain suddenly opened his eyes. 2 beams of blood-colored demonic light immediately shot out from his eyes. The great devil opened his mouth and sucked in, swallowing all the sword images into his body. At this moment, a figure instantly appeared beside the devil shadow. With a single slash of his sword, the devil shadow was sliced into 2. However, the devil shadow directly dissipated into the air. "It's you." The devil shadow appeared in the distance again. Devil chi revolved around him as a pair of blood-colored eyes could be faintly seen. "To think that you are still alive." That person pointed his sword at the devil shadow. Boundless sword chi gushed forth from his body, dissipating the devil chi in the surroundings. And this person was none other than Palace Lord Ling Tian. "Aren't you still alive as well? Limitless Sword Sovereign." That devil shadow coldly laughed. "Hey, you seem somewhat strange." That devil shadow suddenly spoke. He seemed to have discovered something. Die. Chapter 53-37. Palace Master Ling Tian had actually killed his way into Zhongtian's devil domain and started fighting with the great devil. The demon was so strong that even Palace head Ling Tian couldn't suppress him. The demon shadow was really weird and really strong. Palace head Ling Tian used one move and the entire area was filled with sharp sword energy, sealing off all of the demon shadow's escape routes. But the demon shadow allowed the sword to pass through his body like he didn't have a physical body. Moreover, he wasn't injured at all. That was really terrifying. That was because this fellow couldn't be killed. A dead person that couldn't be killed was the most terrifying enemy. "What can you do to me in your current state?" The demon shadow laughed coldly. "Scoff. Do you think that you are better than me?" Palace head Ling Tian laughed coldly. She and the demon were enemies in Limitless World and they knew each other very well. Moreover, both of them came to the Void World at the same time. During the battle that year, many top experts of Limitless World were heavily injured. The strong power broke the world wall and caused them to fall into the Void World. From then on, they were trapped in the Void World and couldn't return to Limitless World. Today, I shall swallow you and then break the world wall to return to limitless world." The demon hollered out. In the next moment, the entire world turned dark. Countless demonic patterns appeared in the void. These patterns intersected to form a gigantic net that trapped Ling Tian Palace head in the void. "Haha, do you think you can trap me like this? What a joke," Palace head Ling Tian said. He merged with his sword and charged into the sky, wanting to rip open the net. But the net was actually really soft. Although Palace head Ling Tian's sword light was sharp, it couldn't break the net. "Today, I shall refine you." The demon's voice rang out. The net that was formed from numerous demon patterns tightened and shot towards Palace head Ling Tian from all directions. Palace head Ling Tian was like a big fish in a huge net. No matter how she tried, she couldn't break it. Moreover, the space that she could move in was getting smaller and smaller. "What is this thing? It can actually block my sword light." Palace head Ling Tian hollered in rage. "Haha. In order to deal with you, I went into seclusion for countless years and refined this heavenly silkworm devilish silk net just for today." The demon laughed gleefully in the demonic energy. Palace Master Ling Tian was both shocked and furious when he heard this. It seemed like this demon hated him to the core and was only thinking about how to take revenge. In the battle back then, Palace Master Ling Tian wasn't the only one who forced this demon into the mirage. After refining you, this sovereign's cultivation should be able to return to its former peak. After that, this sovereign will go and settle the score with that damned Baldy. The demon said coldly. "That Baldy has already passed away. I'll send you to see him." Ling Tian Palace Master roared furiously. He had no choice but to use his trump card. Sword splits heaven and earth. The sword light head that Ling Tian Palace Master had transformed into emitted boundless sword light. The sword light swept out in all directions, illuminating the heaven and earth, dispersing the demonic aura that filled the sky, and even blocking the heaven silkworm demonic silk net. At this moment, it was as if a world of swords had been opened up. The terrifying power of the sword way was all-pervasive, and it forcibly opened up the celestial silkworm demonic silk net. "Humph. It seems like you haven't been idle all these years." The limitless demon laughed coldly. "Kill." Palace Master Ling Tian unleashed the power of the sword way to the extreme, bringing along the world of swords as he charged towards the unbounded demon. Everything in his path was destroyed by the power of the sword way that could split the heavens and earth. The celestial silkworm demonic silk net that was cultivated by the unbounded demon was no exception, as it shattered in the void. Damn! The limitless demon was shocked and furious. At this moment, he stepped on Thousand Demon Mountain and crazily swallowed the power of the ancestral earth meridian that was suppressing Thousand Demon Mountain. Hong Long Long, the entire Thousand Demon Mountain, even the entire Buddha land, half of Middle Sky was shaking. The ground shook violently and giant cracks appeared one after another. Mountains collapsed, houses collapsed, and numerous living beings suffered. This scene was as terrifying as the end of the world. Only creatures with powerful cultivations could survive. That madman, in Middle Sky ancestral land, a figure passed through many layers of formations and appeared on a mountain. This person was dressed in purple and had a graceful figure. It was the old ancestor of Middle Sky, Yuxian. Swoosh! Yuxian's figure instantly disappeared from the peak of the mountain. At this moment, on the peak of Thousand Demon Mountain, the limitless demon raised his hands high and actually lifted the world of swords that was descending from the sky. Endless sword chi surged out from Ling Tian Palace Master's world of swords. The sleeves of the limitless demon's arms were instantly shredded into pieces. Even as strong as the limitless demon, his hands that were holding up the world of swords were cut into countless bloody scars. However, the scars on the limitless demon's arms were also healing rapidly. The battle between Ling Tian Palace Master and the limitless demon was earth-shattering. The entire void realm changed color and countless experts were alarmed. Southern Barbarian, Eastern Baron, West Sea, North Ruins, the emperors of the four great regions all rushed up to the sky and looked towards the direction of Middle Sky. Even the mysterious and unfathomable Shaman Emperor had appeared. With Jiu phase cultivation, he naturally sensed the battle in Middle Sky. He was also very curious. With Ling Tian Palace Master's cultivation, would he be able to defeat the demon? The moment the devil domain appeared, Ji Yufei didn't really fight with the demon. He only exchanged a palm strike with the demon in the devil domain. That day, Ji Yufei directly retreated after exchanging a palm strike with the demon in the devil domain because he wasn't confident. If he was confident, the devil calamity wouldn't have happened. Because the demon in the devil domain was an existence of the infinity level. With Ji Yufei's cultivation, it was still not enough to deal with an infinity level demon. Xiao Ya, you take care of Southern Barbarian. I'm going to watch the show. Ji Yufei gave an order to little Ya and then disappeared from the sky. How could Ji Yufei miss such a great show? If there was a chance, he would definitely kill the demon in the devil domain. Rumble, the ground of middle sky shook, but at this moment, a giant cauldron descended from the sky and shook the ground. The power of the 9 great paths intertwined and the entire middle sky was actually suppressed. That was Ji Yufei's 9 paths cauldron. He used the 9 paths cauldron to suppress middle sky and protect the billions of living beings in middle sky. Actually, there were countless living beings in middle sky that hadn't been demonized yet. At this time, the limitless demon had already retracted his endless demonic energy. He wanted to fight Ling Tian Palace Master with all his strength. Ling Tian Palace Master was publicly recognized as the world's strongest expert in the Void Realm. Against such an expert, even the limitless demon had to go all out. Chapter 53-38. Ji Yufei's cauldron stabilized Zenith Heaven. At this moment, Palace Master Ling Tian and limitless demon were fighting with all their might. Palace Master Ling Tian's Heaven and Earth sword clashed against limitless demon Heaven. Rumble, at the peak of Thousand Demon Mountain, limitless demon held the sky with both hands. The void around him shook violently as if a demonic sky was being created. Drawing the spiritual chi from the earth veins to create limitless demon Heaven, Palace Master Ling Tian's voice came from the Heaven and Earth sword. Humph. Devil Limitless coldly laughed, he didn't say anything. Endless streams of earth vein spiritual chi frenziedly gushed out from the earth veins of the Myriad Devil Mountain, passing through the Myriad Devil Mountain before being absorbed into his body. Open. Limitless demon roared. The next moment, the void collapsed. Endless demonic chi burst out from the void and a demonic sky appeared. This was the power to create heaven and earth. It actually pushed Palace Master Ling Tian's Heaven and Earth sword apart. These two fellas are almost the same in terms of battle strength. Ji Yufei arrived nearby and found a good spot to watch the show. There are quite a lot of people watching the show. Ji Yufei suddenly sensed the aura of other experts and it wasn't just one. Master, Brat, you are here too? At this moment, a figure appeared beside Ji Yufei. Disciple, you dare to be disrespectful to Master? Ji Yufei smiled. It was Yuxian the old ancestor of Sky Culmination Clan. Although she was Ji Yufei's disciple, she wasn't very polite to Ji Yufei. How can I miss such an exciting show? Ji Yufei stared at the battle in front of him without blinking. Be it Palace Master Ling Tian or Limitless Demon, the mystic arts they used were beyond the eternal realm. To Ji Yufei, it was very valuable. These two fellas had evolved their own heaven and earth. This heaven and earth wasn't an inner heaven and earth but a heaven and earth used to fight others. Ling Tian Palace Master created a world of swords while Limitless Demon created a world of devils. The boundless demonic sky obliterated everything. All the sword chi from Palace Lord Ling Tian's sword heaven and earth were obliterated by the boundless demonic sky around Demon Wu Ji. It would not be easy for the two peerless experts to determine a victor. These two fellows came from above? Ji Yufei asked. Do you even need to ask? Yuxiana said indifferently. What? There are demons up there? Ji Yufei asked curiously. Demons are everywhere. Whether they are gods or demons, it only takes a single thought. Yuxiana sighed. That makes sense. Ji Yufei gave Yuxiana a thumbs up. That has always been the case. Yuxiana said. I will kill you today. At this moment, at the peak of the Myriad Devil Mountain, the Ling Tian Palace Lord roared in rage. The entire sword heaven and earth suddenly expanded, enveloping the limitless devil heavens. When Ji Yufei saw this, he was shocked. The Ling Tian Palace Lord was truly powerful. Was he planning to perish together with the limitless demon Wu Ji? Lunatic, all of you are lunatics. Yu Xian suddenly went crazy. What are you doing? Ji Yufei glanced at Yu Xian. Seeing that her eyes were red and incomparably agitated, he couldn't help but jump in shock. I have a part of that body too. What if it's broken? Yu Xian roared. What body? Ji Yufei asked curiously. She and I are one. If she loses, I will be unlucky too. Yu Xian raged. What? There's such a thing. What's going on? You and the Ling Tian Palace Lord are the same person? Ji Yufei's jaw almost dropped. This was a huge secret. The old ancestor of the Tian clan and the Ling Tian Palace Lord were actually the same person. How is this possible? How did the two of you become like this? Ji Yufei really did not understand how a person could actually split into two independent people. These two people were not clones, they were real people with flesh and blood, with independent souls. You wish to know? Yu Xian suddenly looked at Ji Yufei and smiled. Nope. Ji Yufei said directly. He didn't want to create another him. Want to kill me? You don't have that ability. The limitless demon Wu Ji sneered. In the next moment, his limitless demon heaven actually shrunk. Transform the sky into a blade, use the blade to break the sky. In the next moment, the limitless demon Wu Ji and his limitless demon heaven fused together. Using the power of the demonic heaven and his own strength, it turned into a heaven-splitting demon blade. Swish! The demon blade rushed into the sky, directly breaking through the Ling Tian Palace Lord's sword heaven and earth. The Ling Tian Palace Lord's sword heaven and earth dissipated in the void. Countless sword shadows disappeared as if they had never appeared. At this moment, the Ling Tian Palace Lord's figure appeared in the void. The originally extraordinary Ling Tian Palace Lord was now in a sorry state. Her hair was messy and there was a trace of blood at the corner of her mouth. Ling Tian Palace Lord lost. Ji Yufei said in shock. Limitless Sword Master is merely SOSO. Haha, at this moment, the limitless demon Wu Ji laughed loudly. Limitless Sword Master? Ji Yufei looked at Yu Xian. It's just a title. Yu Xian said unhappily. Yu Xian, I know you are here. Why aren't you making a move? Are you waiting for me to be killed by this demon? The Ling Tian Palace Lord said loudly. You want me to fuse with you? Impossible. Yu Xian roared in anger. So you've really mastered the legendary secret technique. The limitless demon Wu Ji stared at the Ling Tian Palace Lord in shock. That's a big joke. The Ling Tian Palace Lord was about to go crazy. She was originally the Limitless Realm's invincible sword master, but she courted death by creating two of herself. Moreover, these two weren't clones but true existences with independent souls. In other words, she actually cultivated another her. If the two of them were separated, their strength would drop. Although the drop wasn't very big, they still wouldn't be able to defeat the limitless demon Wu Ji. If they wanted to fight against the limitless demon Wu Ji, they would have to fuse together. If they fused together, they would become the true limitless sword master. The true limitless sword master was an existence that even the limitless demon Wu Ji had to retreat from. Kill. The limitless demon Wu Ji roared in anger and once again turned into a demonic blade that slashed towards the Ling Tian Palace Lord with extreme speed. He wouldn't let them fuse together. Back then, the limitless sword master fought with all the heroes and snatched a legendary secret art. After she cultivated this secret art, she was immediately unlucky. Therefore, the limitless demon Wu Ji wanted to kill the Ling Tian Palace Lord first. Clang! The blade and sword clashed. The Ling Tian Palace Lord was sent flying by the limitless demon Wu Ji's blade as she coughed out blood. Chapter 5339. The battle between Ling Tian Palace Lord and Limitless Demon Lord was very exciting. At least, Ji Yufei felt that it was very exciting. However, Palace Master Ling Tian wasn't a match for Limitless Demon. This was the #1 expert in the Void World. If even the #1 expert in the Void World wasn't a match for this demon, Then who else in the entire void world could be a match for this demon? Clang! Another resounding sound of metal clashing resounded through the 9 heavens. Palace Master Ling Tian was sent flying by the limitless demon saber again, and he coughed up blood again. Ji Yufei could tell that the limitless demon sky had fused with the demon Dao, and the demon saber had fused with the limitless demon sky. With these 3 powers fusing together, it was no wonder that the Lingtian Palace Master couldn't withstand it. Actually, this kind of method was only SOSO even if one saw through it. However, this depended on the person who used it. You're still not going to act? Ji Yufei said to Yu Xian who was beside him. Why should I attack? Yu Xian was very depressed. If you still don't make a move, your physical body will be gone. Ji Yufei reminded. How troublesome. Yu Xian roared in rage. In the next instant, she transformed into a beam of immortal light and directly broke through the layers of devil qi, rushing into the myriad devil mountains. At the same time, Ling Tian Palace Master was sent flying by the limitless Devil King and he was flying towards Yu Xian. Roar! The limitless Demon King roared as he struck out with his blade. He could not allow them to fuse together. However, the moment the limitless Demon Lord's saber descended, the celestial light that Yu Xian turned into rushed into Ling Tian Palace Master's body. Boom! In the next moment, an incomparably bright light burst forth from the body of the Ling Tian Palace Lord. This light directly dispersed the boundless demonic qi of the 1,000-demon mountain. This immortal light was many times brighter than the divine sun in the sky. Immortal light illuminates the world. When Ji Yufei saw this scene, he couldn't help but be incomparably shocked. Buzz! The void trembled as the limitless demon saber was blown away by the extremely powerful immortal Dao power that was unleashed. Rumble! The entire myriad devil mountain was trembling. Countless cracks appeared on the myriad devil mountain. This divine mountain that had existed for countless years seemed like it could crumble at any moment. The return of my true self, a voice rang out from the peak of the myriad devil mountains, instantly spreading throughout the entire sky. In the next instant, that ball of immortal light vanished as a magnificent silhouette appeared at the peak of the myriad devil mountain. She was like the embodiment of the myriad Taos of heaven and earth, a supreme immortal who ruled over everything. The limitless sword master was just one of her titles. However, the sword was only one of the Taos that she had mastered. This was the first time Ji Yufei had encountered someone like this. Was this the limitless immortal? This kind of existence might be a true peerless power cultivator, and peerless power was the highest cultivation realm that Ji Yufei knew of. Whether there was a higher cultivation realm above peerless power, he didn't know. Limitless sword master, let's fight. At this moment, the limitless demon king roared out and charged over from the distance. Rumble! The heavens and earth trembled, and the entire world darkened once more. Monstrous demonic qi swept over along with the limitless devil, and it was terrifying to the extreme. The demonic aura emitted by the limitless demon king shook the heavens and the earth. Even the void cracked, forming terrifying cracks. Sword, come. The supreme figure waved her right hand, and the boundless power of the sword Dao condensed into a celestial sword. The limitless sword master waved his hand casually, and the celestial sword immediately turned into a dazzling sword light that pierced towards the limitless demon king. Clang! The demonic blade and the sword light instantly clashed, and the limitless demon king was once again sent flying, crashing into a mountain ridge. After fusing together, the combat strength is heaven-defying. Seeing this scene, Ji Yufei was extremely shocked. One must know that the limitless demon king was so powerful just now. Slash after slash, he sent Ling Tian Palace Master flying. But now, the limitless demon king couldn't be arrogant anymore. Kill, kill, kill. The limitless demon king charged back like a madman. However, the limitless sword master waved his hand again, and the limitless demon king was sent flying again. There was no other way, the limitless sword master was just too strong. When the limitless demon king was sent flying, the limitless sword took the initiative. In the next moment, she appeared beside the limitless demon king, and with a palm, she sent the limitless demon king flying high into the sky. Swish! The limitless sword master flashed and appeared high up in the sky again. After that, he stomped on the Limitless Demon King's body, causing the Limitless Demon King to fall from the sky. Boom! The Limitless Demon King ruthlessly smashed onto the myriad Devil Mountain, causing the entire mountain to instantly crumble. Limitless Sword Master, consider yourself ruthless. After speaking, the Limitless Demon King vanished. He was the lord of a devil domain, yet he directly escaped into his domain. However, the Limitless Sword Master condensed another immortal sword. Then, she slashed out with a peerless sword. Everywhere the resplendent sword light passed, the void was directly annihilated. Endless amounts of demonic energy rushed out from the cracks in space. When Ji Yufei saw this scene, his eyeballs almost popped out. After Yuxiana fused with Ling Qian Palace Master, she actually became so strong that she could break the heavens and earth with a raise of her hand. This sword slashed out the devil domain that was hidden in the void. A single slash was enough to break the Limitless Demon King's devil domain. Ever since the Limitless Demon King came to the void world, he had always been hiding in this devil domain and had never come out. If it wasn't for Ji Yufei refining the Limitless Demon origin in the extreme devil cave, it was unknown how long this great devil would have to hide in the devil domain. The Limitless Sword Master didn't say a word and directly killed his way into the devil domain. Ji Yufei's show couldn't be watched anymore. No one knew the result of the battle in the devil domain. After half a day, the Limitless Sword Master broke out of the devil domain once again. Ji Yufei discovered that the Limitless Sword Master was in a sorry state. His hair was a little messy. After that, the Limitless Sword Master directly appeared in front of Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei was so shocked that he almost jumped up. This was the unparalleled immortal who beat up the Limitless Demon King. Why was he looking for him? The Limitless Sword Master stared at Ji Yufei without blinking, not saying a word. Damn, did this guy cultivate so much that he turned stupid? Ji Yufei thought to himself. He definitely couldn't say these words unless he wanted to be tortured. The Limitless Sword Master stared at him for 4 hours. Being stared at by such an unparalleled existence, Ji Yufei didn't dare to move at all. This made him incomparably depressed. Fortunately, not long later, a dazzling immortal light rushed out from the Limitless Sword Master's body. Then, 2 figures appeared within the immortal light. What's going on? Ji Yufei was shocked by the scene before him. This unparalleled immortal actually split into 2 people. One was Ling Qian Palace Master, and the other was naturally Yuxian. To these 2, they were invincible in the fusion path. If they were separated, they would be weak. When the immortal light dissipated, Yuxian and Ling Qian Palace Master opened their eyes at the same time. What a mystical secret art. Chapter 5340. No one would have thought that the old ancestor of the Sky Clan, Yuxian, and the invincible Ling Qian Palace Lord were actually twins. Also, when Yuxiana and Ling Qian Palace leader fused, their combat strength made Ji Yufei dumbfounded. When the 2 of them fused, they were able to beat up the Limitless Demon Lord. Even if the Limitless Demon Lord escaped back to his lair, he couldn't shake off the Limitless Sword Sovereign and was forced into the devil domain. Other than the Limitless Demon Lord and the Limitless Sword Sovereign, no one knew the result of the battle. After Yuxiana and Ling Qian Palace leader separated, Ling Qian Palace leader turned into a beam of sword light and shot into the sky, instantly disappearing. What was the result of the battle? Ji Yufei couldn't help but ask. What result? Yuxiana was at a loss. Ji Yufei looked at Yuxiana as if she was a monster. Ah, you're talking about the battle with the demon? I don't know. Yuxiana came to her senses and shook her head. What? You don't know? Ji Yufei was shocked. How would I know? After the fusion, I won't be me anymore. Yuxiana sighed. This was the reason why she didn't want to fuse with Ling Qian Palace leader. Because after the fusion, the Limitless Sword Sovereign would be a brand new life form. A new life form with independent thoughts and even an independent soul. You won't be you? Ji Yufei was shocked. What kind of secret technique did this fellow cultivate? This was too unbelievable. Although he was curious about what secret technique the Limitless Sword Sovereign cultivated, he would definitely not cultivate such a secret technique. After the limitless sword sovereign cultivated such a secret technique, he was completely lost. Master, I will return to the clan. That demon probably won't be able to come out without some time to recuperate. Yuziana bid farewell to Ji Yufei. Alright, you can go back, Ji Yufei said. Yuziana left right away. At this moment, Myriad Devil Mountain was already a thing of the past. This place was completely destroyed and all the temples were destroyed. Even the temples that had Buddhist emperors presiding over them were not spared. Countless believers of the Buddha race were invaded by the demonic qi, turning into malevolent and horrifying beasts. However, by this time, those beasts had already hidden themselves. Of course, there were still countless living beings that had not been invaded by the demonic qi. At this time, these living beings that had not turned into demonic creatures walked out of their hiding places. The devil calamity that had engulfed the entire middle sky had finally come to an end. However, the limitless demon king had yet to be killed. No one knew when he would appear again. The limitless demon lord hid in the demon domain, but the number of living beings that were demonized in culmination was not small. So, from time to time, demonic creatures would attack other living beings in culmination. After Ji Yufei returned to South Barbarian, Wu Jixien and the rest, along with the 7 Buddha supremacies, continued to guard the border between Middle Heaven and South Barbarian. In the capital of Nanman, in a quiet courtyard in the Barbarian Palace, Ji Yufei was in seclusion again. At this time, Xiao Ya left the capital with the red-browed Eagle King, Qiu Qianjian, Han Chong, and the Saber King Luo Lai. They were a demon hunting team that wanted to enter the world to cultivate and hunt demonic creatures. Xiao Ya wanted to break through to the Divine King realm, while the red-browed Eagle King and the rest wanted to take the step to Emperor realm. If they wanted to break through their current cultivation level, just cultivating in seclusion was not enough. Therefore, Xiao Ya decided to enter the world to cultivate and casually hunt demonic creatures. Although the limitless demon lord escaped, he left behind countless demonic creatures to wreak havoc in the world. Not only Xiao Ya, but people from other regions were also preparing to enter culmination. However, at this time, the emissary of the Eastern Barbarian demon race came to the capital of South Barbarian. They wanted to discuss the matter of Eastern Sun City with Ji Yufei. After all, that was one of the 5 immortal divine cities of Eastern Barbarian. How could the Eastern Barbarian demon race watch this divine city be occupied by the human race? Moreover, the person who occupied Eastern Sun City was the ruthless Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei had already eaten the fat piece of meat that was Eastern Sun City. It would be difficult for him to spit it out again. However, the Eastern Barbarian demon race was not willing to give up, so they sent a group of emissaries to South Barbarian. The person who received the emissaries was the Great Hong ancestor. When this guy was in the Ling Tian Palace, he was very popular and had a glib tongue. Since Xiao Ya was not around, the Great Hong ancestor took over. As for Huang Fuzun, he was wholeheartedly focused on cultivation and did not know how to communicate with others. He could not do something like receiving the emissaries. Originally, if Long Xiaoju was around, there was no need for the Great Hong ancestor to come out. However, Long Xiaoju had returned to the West Sea and would not be able to rush back in a short time. Ji Yufei did not care about the outside world and directly went into seclusion. However, he had the Carnate Stone Man avatar, so he could come out at a critical moment. What's going on? This Ji Yufei is too arrogant. He actually left us in this broken restaurant. It has been 3 days and no one has come to reply. In the South Barbarian royal capital, in a room of a restaurant beside the Barbarian royal palace, 9 great demons Saturday. They were all experts of the Eastern Barbarian demon race and were members of the emissaries to South Barbarian. The Eastern Barbarian demon king, Yarrow Wutian, was also one of the emissaries. The one who looked dissatisfied was Lin Qing, an expert from the Fire Qilin clan. Lin Qing was also a demon king. His cultivation was the same as Yarrow Wutian's, half a step into the Emperor realm. Lin Qing, don't be impatient, Yarrow Wutian said calmly. Ayo, all of you are angry. At this time, an old man came in. This old man was full of smiles. Who else could it be but the Great Hong ancestor? Seeing the great Hong ancestor, the people of the eastern barbarian demon race all stood up. The great Hong ancestor naturally knew why these guys were going to South Barbarian. Dongyang City had already fallen into their hands. How could they return it to the eastern barbarian demon race? Next, the great Hong ancestor and the people of the eastern barbarian demon race chatted non-stop. They did not talk about the main topic at all. This made the people of the eastern barbarian demon race extremely depressed. At this time, Xiao Yai's demon hunting team had already crossed the border between South Barbarian and Middle Sky. This place was once ravaged by the demonic army and was full of devastation. The big and small cities in this area were in ruins. Almost all the living creatures in the cities were dead. Wherever the demonic army passed, not even a blade of grass could be seen. However, there were also quite a few creatures that survived. However, there were many demonic creatures in this area as well. Figures of demonic creatures could be seen in the mountains from time to time. Your Highness, there is a demonic creature ahead. It should have the combat power of a divine king. In a small valley in the mountains of South Sky of Middle Sky, the red-browed eagle king returned. What? There is a divine king demonic creature here? Xiao Yai could not help but be shocked. There is nothing strange about it. Didn't a great battle take place here? Qiu Qianjian said disapprovingly. That's true. Then let's go and meet this demonic creature. Xiao Yai said as she rushed into the sky and out of the small valley. Chapter 53-41. Demonic creatures roamed the southern region of mid-heaven, and countless creatures were threatened by them. Xiao Yai led the red-browed eagle king, Qiu Qianjian, Han Chong, and the saber sovereign Luo Lai into the southern region of mid-heaven to hunt demonic creatures. This was Xiao Yai's first step in cultivation. At this moment, the red-browed eagle king discovered a god-king demonic creature, which surprised and delighted Xiao Yai. She had been lacking an opponent of this level. Roar. A terrifying demonic roar shook the heavens and the earth. A gigantic demonic shadow stood in front of a mountain stronghold. Countless humans in the stronghold were trembling in fear. They were extremely frightened. This was an incomparably malevolent magical beast, a black demon single-horned tiger. The black demon tiger's mountain-like body was like the Grim Reaper, capable of destroying the stronghold at any time. In fact, the village had been spared by chance. It was located in a very remote area and had not been affected by the demonic army. But now, the stronghold could no longer hide from them. The black-horned demonic tiger roared and was about to pounce on the village. However, at this critical moment, an extremely sharp sword light suddenly tore through the air and slashed at the black-horned demonic tiger. The sword light was extremely sharp, and the sword chi that spread from it directly dispersed the demonic aura in the surroundings. Demonic creature, don't be so arrogant. A delicate shout rang out, and a figure in white flew over from afar. This was the imperial sword technique. Using one's will to control the sword, the speed of the sword was as fast as one's will, arriving in an instant. The black-horned demonic tiger knew that it was powerful, so it turned in the air and dodged. Boom! The black-horned demonic tiger landed in the forest, causing the ground to tremble. In the next moment, the black demonic flames that spread from the black-horned demonic tiger immediately burned the surrounding flowers, trees, and even stones to ashes. The demonic tiger stared at the girl in white, its blood-red eyes filled with a frightening bloodthirst. What a powerful demonic flame! Xiao Yai said in surprise. The demonic aura on this demonic tiger was extremely powerful. Your Highness, be careful. The red-browed eagle king and the others had already caught up. They could not help but admire Xiao Yai. Xiao Yai was not a god king yet, but her speed was even faster than renowned kings like the red-browed hawk king. This was especially true for the red-browed eagle king. He was a king who specialized in speed, yet even he could not catch up to little Ya. This caused the red-browed eagle king to be extremely shocked. All of you, retreat. Guard this stronghold for me. Xiao Ya ordered. Yes, Your Highness. Red-browed eagle king and the other three immediately spread out and guarded the village. Roar. The black single-horned demon tiger let out a furious roar, causing the entire forest to tremble. The black single-horned demon tiger's body sank, and in the next moment, its 4 claws forcefully pushed off the ground, and it directly pounced towards Xiao Ya. This tiger pounce was the black-horned demon tiger's trump card. Even famous kings like the red-browed eagle king wouldn't dare to take this pounce head-on. Sword and shield. Xiao Ya recalled her flying sword. In the next moment, the flying sword spun in front of her and turned into a light shield. Bam! The black-horned demon tiger directly pounced on the sword and shield in front of Xiao Ya. The sword and shield vibrated, and Xiao Ya, along with the sword and shield, was sent flying more than 10 meters away. The black-horned demon tiger's figure flashed in the void, and it pounced towards Xiao Ya again. Although this black-horned demon tiger was huge, its speed was extremely fast. One must know that this demon tiger was a king-level demonic beast. Mountain slash. Xiao Ya held the sword with both hands, and directly slashed at the black-horned demon tiger. A sword light rushed out of Xiao Ya's hand, and instantly grew to 100 meters. This sword of hers seemed to be able to directly split the heavens and earth. It was extremely powerful. Clang! Xiao Ya's sword light directly struck the black-horned demon tiger's horn. Sparks flew everywhere, and Xiao Ya was once again sent flying. She was only half a step into the king realm, and not a true king realm expert. In terms of strength, Xiao Ya could not compare to this black-horned demon tiger. Xiao Ya sneered. In the next moment, countless sword lights rushed out of Xiao Ya's body, turning into a rain of swords, and pierced towards the black-horned demon tiger. This move of hers directly sealed off all of the black-horned demon tiger's escape routes. Although the black-horned demon tiger was powerful, it could not dodge the sword lights that covered the sky and covered the earth. Countless sword lights directly pierced through the black-horned demon tiger, and when each sword light pierced through the black-horned demon tiger, it brought out a stream of demonic blood. The black-horned demon tiger roared angrily, and fell from the sky. Boom! The ground shook, and the black-horned demon tiger directly smashed a large pit in the ground. However, this black-horned demon tiger did not die just like that. The demonic blood turned into demonic mist, and was completely devoured by the black-horned demon tiger. The wounds on the black-horned demon tiger's body rapidly healed. Very good. If it was so easy to kill this fellow, then it would be too boring. When Xiao Ya saw what happened to the black-horned demon tiger, her battle intent became even stronger. Just as Xiao Ya began to hunt demonic creatures, in the southern barbarian royal capital, Ancestor Tian Hong was in a restaurant outside the barbarian royal palace, chatting with the Eastern Barbarian Demon Clan's emissaries. The Eastern Barbarian Demon Clan wanted to take back Dongyang City from Ji Yufei's hands. However, Dongyang City had already fallen into Ji Yufei's hands, so they would not come. This was because no one could take back anything that had fallen into Ji Yufei's hands. At this time, Ji Yufei's second disciple, Long Xiaoju, returned. You and I are both from the Demon Clan. How about giving me some face? On the tower of the southern barbarian royal capital stood 2 figures, a man and a woman. The man was Yarrow Wutian from the Eastern Barbarian Demon Clan, and the woman was Long Xiaoju from the West Sea Dragon Clan. You want me to give you face? Long Xiaoju said indifferently to Yarrow Wutian. You and I are both from the Demon Clan. Shouldn't we help each other? Yarrow Wutian said. What do you want me to help you with? Help you get back Dongyang City? That's impossible. Long Xiaoju said coldly. Why not? Everything in this world has a price. As long as you can afford it, everything is possible. Yarrow Wutian said proudly. Is that so? Long Xiaoju smiled non-committally. Then what price can you afford? Long Xiaoju asked curiously. How about the secret of the copper gate of heaven and earth? Yarrow Wutian suddenly smiled. What? When Long Xiaoju heard this, his shock was no small matter. How is that possible? How do you know the secret of the copper gate of heaven and earth? Long Xiaoju did not believe it at all. One should know that the copper gate of heaven and earth was the biggest secret of the void realm. According to legend, whoever could understand this secret would be able to ascend and enter the legendary undying world. There was such a legend in the void realm, but no one knew if it was true or not. Previously, The 5 emperors of the 5 regions had joined forces to open the copper gate of heaven and earth. But they still failed in the end. The secret of the copper gate of heaven and earth. Chapter 53-42. The copper gate of the heaven and earth was an ancient legend in the void realm. No one knew when it first appeared, and no one knew how to open it. However, legend had it that behind the gate was a world without death. Countless geniuses in the void realm had tried to open the gate, but they all failed. Since ancient times, no one had been able to open the copper gate of the heaven and earth. Long Xiaoju didn't expect Yarrow Wutian to use the secret of the copper gate of the heaven and earth to exchange for Dongyang City. What? Is this secret not enough? Yarrow Wutian asked. Long Xiaoju pondered for a long time before saying, "Okay then, I'll go see master." With that, Long Xiaoju turned around and left. Even the secret of the copper gate of the heaven and earth can't be exchanged for Dongyang City? Yarrow Wutian was very confident because no one in the world could resist the secret of the copper gate of the heaven and earth. Not even Jiyu Fei could resist. This time, the 4 great clans came to the southern barbarian capital to obtain Dongyang City. It has to be said that if Dongyang City was taken by the human race, would the Eastern Domain still be the demon race's Eastern Domain? Meanwhile, in the barbarian palace, outside Jiyu Fei's closed-door training ground. Master, disciple requests to see master. Long Xiaoju didn't dare to directly barge in, so he said from outside the door. What is it? Jiyu Fei's voice came from inside. He was in closed-door cultivation, and it wasn't some kind of death seclusion. He didn't forbid his disciples from coming to look for him. Therefore, Long Xiaoju dared to directly come to his place of closed-door cultivation and seek an audience. Master, it's like this. The Eastern barbarian demon race wants to use the secret of the copper gate of the heaven and earth to exchange for Dongyang City. Disciple didn't dare to make the decision on his own, so I came to see master. Long Xiaoju said respectfully. The secret of the copper gate of the heaven and earth. Jiyu Fei, who was sitting cross-legged on a praying mat, frowned. He had heard about the copper gate of the heaven and earth, but he didn't know much about it. When he rose up in the southern barbarian, the barbarian emperor wasn't there but went to the copper gate of the heaven and earth. What was the secret of the copper gate of heaven and earth? Jiyu Fei was also curious, but if they wanted to use the secret of the heaven and earth copper gate to trade for Dongyang City, then the Eastern Wasteland Demon Clan was underestimating him too much. Master, what should we do? Long Xiaoju asked. Tell them to go back to where they came from. Jiyu Fei said indifferently. Yes, disciple will take his leave. Long Xiaoju quickly retreated. Could it be that his master was not interested in the secrets of the copper gate of heaven and earth? This was the secret of the copper gate of the heaven and earth. Even though Long Xiaoju really wanted to know this secret, Yarrow Wutian would never tell him. The ownership of Dongyang City was not something she could decide. Very quickly, Long Xiaoju appeared on top of the imperial capital's city gate tower. Yarrow Wutian had not left yet, because he knew that Long Xiaoju had returned. What? Can you give Dongyang City to us? Yarrow Wutian smiled proudly because he was confident that no cultivator from the void world could resist the temptation of the copper gate of heaven and earth. Hand over your head. My master told you to go back to where you came from. Long Xiaoju shouted at Yarrow Wutian. What? Yarrow Wutian was dumbfounded. That Jiyu Fei did not even want to know the secret of the copper gate of heaven and earth. How was this possible? What did you say? Yarrow Wutian stared at Long Xiaoju in disbelief. Are you deaf? I said, my master told you to go back to where you came from. Did you hear me? Long Xiaoju said impatiently. Yarrow Wutian was speechless. There was really someone in this world who was not interested in the secret of the copper gate of heaven and earth. All right, you don't have to look for me anymore. I'll never see you again. After saying that, Long Xiaoju walked away, leaving behind a dumbfounded Yarrow Wutian. Oh no, what should I do? Yarrow Wutian was really dumbfounded. His biggest reliance was the secret of the copper gate of heaven and earth. Now, the other party was not interested in this secret. What could he do? There was no hope. It seemed impossible for the Eastern Baron demon race to take back Dongyang City from Ji Yufei's hand. In Yarrow Wutian's eyes, everything had a price. Dongyang City also had a price. As long as the price was high enough, he could buy the entire city. However, both Yarrow Wutian and the Eastern Baron demon race had greatly underestimated Ji Yufei. The secret that was priceless in their eyes was nothing in Ji Yufei's eyes. Moreover, it was very meaningful for the human race to take over Dongyang City. This was because the human race had never occupied the 5 immortal cities of the Eastern Baron territory. This place had always been the territory of the Eastern Baron demon race. The human race had never been the owner of this place. But now, the human race was about to become one of the owners of this land. How could Ji Yufei hand over Dongyang City to the Eastern Baron demon race? Want to trade a secret for Dongyang City? Dream on. In Ji Yufei's cultivation ground, Ji Yufei muttered to himself as he sat on the mat. Things that were in his hands could not be returned. The Eastern Baron demon race's mission had come for nothing. At this moment, in the southern mountain range of Sky Center, a tiger's roar shook the sky. One human and one tiger battled, destroying the entire mountain range. The devil Qi was vast and mighty, and the surrounding flowers, trees, and anything that had life force was rapidly disappearing. However, Xiao Huai's aura was getting stronger and stronger. This crazy tiger is really hard to deal with. Xiao Huai used the 8 desolation step and moved like a phantom. She dodged the black demon tiger's attacks and occasionally slashed at it. She was weakening the black demon tiger's power. Xiao Huai's move was really effective. The black-horned demonic tiger's aura was constantly weakening, because every time she slashed at the black-horned demonic tiger, it would more or less cause a certain amount of damage. She cultivated the 9 secrets of the celestial path. One of the 9 secrets of the celestial path was the pure secret art. It could turn all the origin energy in the world into the most primitive spiritual energy and then absorb it. The more Xiao Huai fought, the stronger she became, but the more the black demon tiger became weaker. At this moment, the red-browed eagle king and the others who were watching the battle from the side also noticed this. They really admired little Huai. A half-step king realm cultivator was actually able to fight against a real king realm cultivator. However, what truly shocked the red-browed eagle king and the rest was that Xiao Huai was the disciple of their master, Ji Yufei. Xiao Huai's mystic arts were also imparted to her by Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei's mystic arts were truly heaven-defying. The Eagle King and the others were also very envious of Xiao Huai. Xiao Huai's true strength was her sword Dao. Ji Yufei's sword Dao had also reached great heights. At this moment, the people of the village were all terrified. The black demon tiger's aura made their souls tremble. One sword to kill the heavens. Meanwhile, Xiao Huai suddenly shouted loudly. In the next moment, she'd actually fused with her sword, and she instantly transformed into an extremely swift and fierce strand of sword light that directly slashed the horned black deviltiger into 2. This. Chapter 53-43. In the mountains, Xiao Huai was fighting the black-horned demonic tiger. Although she was only a half-step divine king, her battle prowess was unparalleled. She was fighting endlessly against the black-horned demonic tiger. Her Highness' footwork is heaven-defying, Red-Browed Eagle King exclaimed. Her Highness has inherited Master's legacy, of course she's extraordinary. One-Armed Sword King Qiu Chenjian said. Master's legacy is probably no weaker than Ling Tian Palace's. Lunar Divine Fist Han Chong said. Only Saber King Luo Lai did not say anything, but his eyes were shining brightly. Meanwhile, Xiao Huai suddenly shouted loudly. She'd actually fused with her sword, and she directly slashed the horned black deviltiger into 2 with a single slash. Demonic blood splattered everywhere, and the 2 halves of the black-horned demonic tiger were sent flying, crashing into the forest. When the demonic blood landed on the ground, it actually emitted wisps of black gas. This black-horned demonic tiger was a king-level demonic creature. It was extremely powerful, and its demonic blood also contained a powerful demonic nature. Even Xiao Huai would be injured if the demonic blood splashed onto her body. Demonic blood could turn other living creatures into demonic creatures. Once the demonic nature invaded her body, even Xiao Ya would be in trouble. Once her inner demons were triggered, it would be even more dangerous. The protective sword chi that emerged from little Ya's body blocked the devil blood that splashed towards her. Little one, at this moment, the demonic chi that gushed out from the black-horned demonic tiger's corpse turned into a demonic shadow that floated in the void, staring at Xiao Ya with blood-red demonic eyes. Xiao Ya could not help but be shocked at this scene. Red-browed Eagle King and the rest also tensed up when they saw the demonic shadow. "You're the successor of the one called Jiu Fei?" The demonic shadow sent out a demonic will, and a voice rang in Xiao Ya's mind. "You are." Xiao Ya was taken aback again. "If Jiu Fei's successor becomes demonic, it'll be fun." After saying that, Mo Ying directly pounced towards Xiao Ya. Yuan Soul Sword Slash. Xiao Ya was shocked, but she was still extremely calm. She immediately used one of the 9 secrets of immortal Tao, the Yuan Soul Sword transformation. A beam of sword light rushed out from between her eyebrows and turned into the Howran sword of the Wei. With a flash of sword light, it directly cut the demonic shadow that pounced on her in half. As for the Howran Dao sword that had rushed out from Xiao Ya's glabella, it flew back into her glabella, as though it had never appeared before. The awe-inspiring righteousness that little Ya cultivated was the nemesis of the devil path. What? The demonic shadow was extremely shocked. The demonic shadow, which had been split into 2 by Xiao Ya's sword, gradually dissipated into the void. "My main body has thousands of incarnations. Soon, we will meet again. The demonic shadow's demonic will completely disappeared. What's going on? Could this demonic shadow be the limitless demonic shadow?" Xiao Ya was indescribably shocked. Wasn't this limitless demon hiding in the demon domain and not daring to come out? Why did it appear here? Wait. 10 million clones. Could it be? Xiao Ya thought of a possibility. At this moment, she could no longer remain calm. Although the limitless demon lord had hidden in the demon domain, this demon lord still had a trick up his sleeves. Thinking of this, Xiao Ya's forehead broke out in sweat. "Your Highness, what happened?" The red-browed Eagle King and the others rushed over. "Nothing. Continue." As Xiao Ya spoke, she soared into the sky and continued to search and hunt demonic creatures. As for the corpse of the black-horned demonic tiger, it had undergone a huge change. This ferocious demonic tiger had actually turned into an ordinary forest tiger. It turned out that this black-horned demonic tiger was just an ordinary mountain tiger that had demonized. The demonic tiger that had demonized was actually so powerful. This made the red-browed Eagle King, who had noticed this scene, extremely shocked. When they saw Xiao Ya leave, they hurriedly chased after her. Xiao Ya continued to hunt demonic creatures in culmination. At this time, Long Xiaoju had completely taken over the southern Man royal capital. Because Jiu Fei was in seclusion, Xiao Ya brought the 4 great god kings to culmination to hunt demonic creatures. In this way, the person with the highest status in the southern Man royal capital was Long Xiaoju. At this time, the witch race no longer dared to cause trouble. 2 of the 8 great witch kings had been killed. Who else would dare to cause trouble? Most importantly, the witch emperor of the witch race did not care about the matter at all. She directly allowed the witch kings to cause trouble and did not care about it after it happened. No one knew what the witch emperor was thinking, and no one knew why the witch emperor did not care about the witch race. Even the witch kings of the witch race did not know the reason. Now, in the southern Man royal capital, people from the witch race had begun to appear again. This was because the witch king of the witch race was also one of the 16 vassal kings. These vassal kings were all well-behaved now. And this time, the most depressed people in the southern Man royal capital were the fellows from the eastern wasteland demon race. This was because Jiu Fei had directly asked the eastern wasteland demon race to scram. Who dared to disobey Jiu Fei's words? Ancestor Tian Hong immediately ordered them to leave. The eastern wasteland demon race envoys could only dejectedly leave the southern Man royal capital. There was a super teleportation array in the southern Man royal capital. The eastern wasteland demon race envoys were directly teleported to one of the 5 great immortal cities in the eastern wasteland, southern Chilean City. At this time, the demon emperors of the 4 great demon races had gathered in southern Chilean city. Ancestor Fire Chilean, Ancestor Black Tortoise, Ancestor Firefinch, and Ancestor Azure Dragon, the 4 great demon races patriarchs were gathered together in the main hall of the southern Chilean city. The 4 patriarchs of the 4 great demon races of the Eastern Wasteland had appeared at the same time. This was something that had not happened in the Eastern Wasteland for thousands of years. The Eastern Wasteland had been firmly controlled by the Eastern Wasteland demon race for countless years. No one had ever been able to shake the Eastern Wasteland demon race. Even the strongest forces like Ling Tian Palace, Heaven Culmination Clan, and Buddha Clan could not shake the Eastern Wasteland demon race's ruling position in the Eastern Wasteland. But now, Jiyu Fei actually took down Eastern Sun City and almost annihilated the Phoenix Clan. This was something that had not happened in thousands of years. Jiyu Fei taking down Eastern Sun City directly shook the Eastern Wasteland demon race's ruling position in the Eastern Wasteland. The Eastern Wasteland demon race was originally the world of the demon race. Now that Jiyu Fei had interfered, the Eastern Wasteland demon race was naturally unhappy. Yarrow Wutian seeks an audience. At this moment, Yarrow Wutian's voice came from outside the main hall. As soon as he returned to southern Chilean city, he immediately rushed to the City Lord's mansion to report to the 4 great demon emperors. "Come in." Ancestor Fire Chilean, who was sitting on the throne, said indifferently. "What's wrong? Is Jiyu Fei not willing to return Eastern Sun City?" Seeing Yarrow Wutian's expression, Ancestor Fire Chilean knew that Yarrow Wutian and the others had failed. "Ancestor, Jiyu Fei drove us back," Yarrow Wutian said helplessly. "What?" Ancestor Fire Chilean's expression changed. The other 3 patriarchs also looked at Yarrow Wutian with sharp gazes. A powerful emperor's aura erupted in the main hall. This made Yarrow Wutian suffer. He felt as if there were several mountains pressing down on his body, and he almost fell to the ground. Chapter 53-44. Although the Phoenix clan of the Eastern Baron Demon clan had been crippled by Jiyu Fei and the remaining members of the Phoenix clan could not do anything, the Eastern Baron Demon clan's strength still existed. Regardless of whether it was the Fire Chilean clan, the Black Tortoise clan, the Fire Sparrow clan or the Azure Dragon clan, all of them possessed an incomparably deep foundation. Of course, the 4 great monstrous clans were not much stronger than the Sky Phoenix clan. However, once the 4 great monstrous clans joined forces, their strength could not be underestimated. Even Jiyu Fei had no choice but to be cautious. However, Dongyang City had already fallen into Jiyu Fei's hands, so how could Jiyu Fei hand it over? What now? Southern Chilean City, in the main hall of the City Lord Mansion, Ancestor Fireklin, who was sitting on the throne in the middle, glanced at the surrounding demon emperors and said, "What else can we do? Let's just go and wake up the old ancestor." Old Ancestor Shen Wu yawned. Tortoises had to hibernate. Now that it was still cold, he wanted to go back and have a good sleep. He would only come out when the weather warmed up. Awaken the ancestor? All the demon emperors were shocked. After all, the great ancestor was not someone who could be awakened so easily. Moreover, once the great ancestor was awakened, the Eastern Wilderness Demon clan would change. No. The Azure Dragon Demon Emperor immediately objected. "Yes, we haven't reached the stage where we can awaken the ancestor yet." The Fire Sparrow Demon Emperor nodded. Seeing that the Green Dragon Demon Emperor and the Fire Sparrow Demon Emperor objected, the Black Tortoise Demon Emperor smiled indifferently and said, "Forget it then. If we don't wake up the old ancestor, it will be hard to fight against that Jiyu Fei." The Black Tortoise Demon Emperor sighed. The other demon emperors fell silent upon hearing this. The 4 great demon clans really couldn't fight against Jiyu Fei. However, if Jiyu Fei didn't make a move himself, the Eastern Wilderness Demon clans wouldn't be afraid of anyone. "Then we'll send another envoy to Nanman?" Forefather Fireklin suggested. "I think we should just forget about it." The Azure Dragon Demon Emperor shook his head. Since Jiyu Fei had driven Yarrow Wutian and the others back, the result would be the same even if he sent an envoy to the southern barbarians. It would not change anything. Then are we just going to let Jiyu Fei take over Dongyang City? The Fire Sparrow Demon Emperor shouted angrily. "What else can we do? Why don't you go talk to Jiu Fei? How about we ask him to return Dongyang City to us? The Black Tortoise Demon Emperor said lazily. The Fire Sparrow Demon Emperor was immediately rendered speechless by the Black Tortoise Demon Emperor. Who would dare to chat with Jiu Fei? Wasn't that courting death? Even the two ancestral patriarchs of the Heavenly Phoenix clan were no match for Jiu Fei. If the two ancestral patriarchs of the Heavenly Phoenix clan joined forces, they would be invincible in the Eastern Barren Territory. Both Patriarch Fire Chiline and Patriarch Azure Dragon had suffered losses in the hands of the two patriarchs of the Phoenix clan. Alright, let's wait and see for now. Ancestor Phyrecolin muttered. That's the only way. Patriarch Azure Dragon sighed. At this time, Jiu Fei was still in seclusion in the southern Barren royal capital, ignoring the outside world. Everything in the southern Barren royal capital was managed by Long Xiaoju, with Patriarch Tian Hong and Huang Fuzun assisting from the side. The entire southern Barren royal capital's army was under Shan Kuei's control. Originally, Shan Kuei's cultivation and prestige were not qualified to be the general of the city guards, but now that the King of Sabers, Luo Lai, had followed Xiao Yue to Zhongtian, Shan Kuei became the general. Your Highness, why did you summon us here? Patriarch Tian Hong and Huang Fuzun received Long Xiaozhou's summon and rushed into the palace. Dongyang City lacks a city lord. Which one of you is willing to be the city lord of Dongyang City? Long Xiaozhou asked. What? Patriarch Tian Hong and Huang Fuzun were shocked to hear that. Dongyang City was now a hot potato. Patriarch Tian Hong and Huang Fuzun were not willing to be the city lord of Dongyang City because it was too troublesome. Moreover, the Eastern Barren Demon clan was not to be trifled with. They were really not interested in being the city lord of Dongyang City. None of you are willing to go. Then do you have a candidate to recommend? Long Xiaozhou asked. This. Why don't we leave it to the sorcerer tribe? Patriarch Tian Hong pondered and said. Sorcerer tribe. Long Xiaozhou frowned. Using the sorcerer tribe to deal with the Eastern Barren Demon clan? The strength of the sorcerer tribe did not seem to be a match for the Eastern Barren Demon clan. Although the strength of the sorcerer tribe was not weak, wasn't it a joke to want to go against the Eastern Barren Demon clan with their strength? Send the sorcerer tribe away so that they don't cause trouble in South China. Patriarch Tian Hong continued. Long Xiaozhou really couldn't decide for a while. Because on the surface, the sorcerer tribe seemed to have completely surrendered to Master, but who knew if the sorcerer tribe was pretending to surrender? All right. Long Xiaozhou nodded his head. Soon, the shaman kings of the sorcerer tribe in South China received Long Xiaozhou's summon. The 6 shaman kings entered the palace to meet Long Xiaozhou. Go to Dongyang City to be the city lord. The 6 shaman kings were shocked when they heard that. Dongyang City was one of the 5 immortal divine cities in East Barren. It was the territory of the Eastern Barren Demon clan. Wouldn't it mean that he had to go against the Eastern Barren Demon clan if he became the city lord of Dongyang City? Was Jiu Fei going to use the sorcerer tribe to go against the Eastern Barren Demon clan? The 6 shaman kings were instantly displeased. They didn't want to be used by Jiu Fei. Your Highness, is this Lord Jiu Fei's intention? Shaman King Wu Fang asked carefully. No, this is my intention, but my intention is also equivalent to Master's intention. Long Xiaozhou said indifferently. The 6 shaman kings were speechless when they heard that. All right, we agree. The Grand Shaman King said helplessly. Very well, then it's decided. Long Xiaozhou was very happy because the problem of the city lord of Dongyang City was temporarily resolved. She knew that Master would never return Dongyang City to the Eastern Barren Demon clan. The 6 shaman kings then left the Barren Palace and returned to the Grand Shaman King's mansion. Boss, why did you agree so easily? Wu Fang asked in confusion. Yes. The other shaman kings all looked at the Grand Shaman King. Can I not agree? The Grand Shaman King sighed helplessly. Yes, they really had no choice but to agree. The sorcerer tribe had just submitted to Jiu Fei, and now Jiu Fei wanted one of them to be the city lord of Dongyang City. If they didn't agree, it would mean that they wouldn't be able to stop being deployed. That was no different from rebelling. Then who among us will be the city lord of Dongyang City? Wu Fang looked at the Grand Shaman King. Who else can it be? I can only go, and only I have the authority. The Grand Shaman King was even more helpless. Why don't we ask Lingxue to plead with Ji Yufei? Wu Fang said. Forget it. Being the city lord of Dongyang City isn't a bad thing. The Grand Shaman King shook his head and said. The other Shaman Kings didn't say anything. Dongyang City was the territory of the Eastern Baron Demon Clan. We represent Ji Yufei. So what if it's the Eastern Baron Demon Clan? Do they really dare to start a war with Ji Yufei? A cold light flashed in the Grand Shaman King's eyes. Chapter 53-45. The news of the sorcerer tribe taking over Dongyang City shocked the entire southern barbarian capital. Everyone was guessing why Ji Yufei wanted the sorcerer tribe to take over Dongyang City. Dongyang City was one of the 5 immortal cities in the eastern barbarian territory. It was definitely a hot potato. Even Huangfu Zun and ancestor Tianhong were not willing to take over this hot potato. But now, this hot potato was thrown into the hands of the sorcerer tribe. This time, the sorcerer tribe represented Ji Yufei. In fact, in the Void Realm, there were not many people who dared to touch Ji Yufei's people. The people of the sorcerer tribe moved very quickly. At dawn the next day, the Grand Magus King left the southern barbarian capital with his people and went to Dongyang City in the eastern barbarian territory. In fact, the sorcerer tribe was a hot potato that could explode at any time. Now that the Grand Magus King had gone to the eastern barbarian territory, the restless forces in the southern barbarian did not dare to act rashly. Still a little bit more. In the southern barbarian capital, in the barbarian palace's training room, Ji Yufei sat cross-legged and floated in the air. Spiritual chi of the world gathered from all directions and was directly devoured by him. This imperial city suppressed the Earth Ancestor's vein. At this time, Ji Yufei drew the essence of the Earth Ancestor's vein and devoured the chi of the Earth Ancestor's vein. The entire training room was filled with runes. These runes completely sealed his aura in the training room. People outside could not sense anything at all. Countless runes interweaved on Ji Yufei's body. He had reached a bottleneck in his cultivation. He could soar into the sky and enter the infinite prime realm at any time. However, even though he was half a step away, he couldn't take that half step no matter what. What's going on? What's missing? Ji Yufei was really going crazy. He tried to recall the situation when he broke through to the infinite prime realm in the eternal world. Life and death. Ji Yufei clearly remembered that he broke through to the infinite prime realm on the edge of life and death. Was he going to make a breakthrough on the edge of life and death this time? He was very clear that this kind of success would be very difficult to repeat. It should be known that being at the edge of life and death could stimulate one's potential, but he also had to face the fate of dying. He was lucky enough to succeed last time, but it didn't mean that he would succeed this time. If he failed, he would die. How troublesome. Ji Yufei stopped devouring the Earthstring spiritual energy. He knew that at a time like this, he couldn't be impatient, and had to remain calm. He needed to calm down completely. Right now, in the entire Void Realm, there were not many existences that could truly threaten his life. Even Ling Tian Palace Master could not threaten him. Initially, the Limitless Demon Lord was still fine. However, it was forced into the Devil Domain by the fusion of Ling Tian and Yuxian. Looks like I have to use the Devil's Hand to break through my cultivation realm. Ji Yufei sighed. He only went into seclusion for about a month before he came out. This was the shortest time he had spent in seclusion in the Void Realm. Master, are you alright? In the garden of the Barbarian Palace, Long Xiaoju, who was watching Ji Yufei in a daze, asked worriedly. Could something have happened to his master? People who went into seclusion often had all sorts of changes, such as entering the Devil's Hand. What's wrong with me? Ji Yufei was still looking at the sky. Then why are you looking at the sky? Long Xiaoju asked curiously. What do you think will happen if I break the sky? Ji Yufei suddenly looked at Long Xiaoju and said. What? Break the sky? Long Xiaoju was shocked. This was the sky. How could it be broken? No one had ever broken the sky before. Sigh, Go and find the guy who knows the secret of the heaven and earth copper gate. Ji Fei looked at the sky again. Master, that guy Yarawutian has returned to Eastern Baron. I'm afraid it will take some time to find him. Long Xiaoju said with some difficulty. Go, I don't lack time at the moment. Ji Fei said indifferently. But master, that secret needs to be exchanged with Dongyang City, Long Xiaoju reminded. Ji Fei thought for a moment and said, I can't hand over Dongyang City. I don't want to know that secret either. I just want to know where the heaven and earth copper gate is. All right, disciple will go to Eastern Baron now. Long Xiaoju said goodbye to Ji Fei and went to the Southern Barbarian Royal Capital's transfer formation. He left Southern Baron and went to the demon race's world, Eastern Baron. Ji Fei planned to go to the heaven and earth copper gate first. If he couldn't find it, then he would go to the demon realm and play with the limitless demon realm. Ji Fei had heard of the legend of the heaven and earth copper gate since he came to the void realm. There was a world without death behind the gate, but he didn't know if it was true or not. According to Ji Fei's knowledge, there was only one world where there was no death, no sickness, and where all living beings could live forever, and that was the Wuji world. Could the limitless world be behind the heaven and earth copper gate? Therefore, he wanted to go to the heaven and earth copper gate. At this moment, a figure silently appeared behind Ji Fei. This person was covered in a layer of faint light. She looked illusory, and there was not a trace of breath coming from her body. If you want to go to the heaven and earth copper gate, why do you need to go to the Eastern Baron demon race? An incomparably pleasant voice sounded behind Ji Fei. Do you know where the heaven and earth copper gate is? Ji Fei asked. He already knew who it was. She was the Shaman Emperor. Of course I know. The Shaman Emperor's tone was always cold. Then take me there, Ji Fei said. Then let's go. As the Shaman Emperor spoke, he directly soared into the sky and disappeared above the sky. Ji Fei stood up, looked at the sky, and smiled. In the next moment, he disappeared on the spot. Zhongtian was incomparably vast. It was the largest of the 5 regions. At the center of Zhongtian, there was a huge snow mountain. This snow mountain reached into the clouds, and one couldn't see the end of it. In the eyes of countless living beings in Zhongtian, this was a sacred mountain. Even when the demonic calamity happened, it was still a pure land. Because there was an invisible force on the snow mountain that blocked the demonic energy. Early in the morning, this snow mountain welcomed its 2 guests. 2 figures landed at the foot of the snow mountain. They were Ji Fei and the Shaman Emperor. What's going on? Ji Fei was shocked. Because he actually felt the breath of an infinite prime. How was this possible? There was no real infinite prime in the void realm. If there was, it was the limitless sword master when Yuxian fused with Ling Tian Palace Master. That existence might be a real infinite prime. Otherwise, the limitless demon master wouldn't have been tortured by the limitless sword master. The heaven and earth copper gate is on this mountain. Chapter 53-46. The legend of the copper gate of the heaven and earth had been passed down in the void realm for a long time, so long that no one could remember when it started. However, the location of the copper gate of the heaven and earth was a secret. In the void realm, countless people had heard of the legend of the copper gate of the heaven and earth, but only a few knew where it was. Coincidentally, the Shaman King was one of those who knew where it was. Thus, Ji Fei and the Shaman King appeared at the foot of the snow mountain. Do I have to go up step by step? Ji Fei couldn't help but frown as he stared at the towering snow-capped mountain before him. This snow-capped mountain wasn't just an ordinary mountain. You can try flying in the air. The Shaman King said indifferently. Hehe, you want to trick me? Ji Fei smiled. This snow mountain was enveloped by a true infinite power, suppressing all the experts who entered, including him. When Ji Fei saw the snow-capped mountain, he knew what it was. I'd better go up step by step. Ji Fei sighed. Then, he jumped down from the boulder and walked up the mountain. The Shaman King followed. The snow mountain in the middle of the sky never melted. Even the emperors in the void realm were unwilling to set foot here, because this place hid the greatest secret of the void realm. Ordinary people could not go up the mountain, because this snow mountain was too high, and with the existence of the infinite power, ordinary people could not even go halfway up the mountain, not to mention the peak. Since ancient times, only the emperors could reach the peak. While Jiyu Fei and the Shaman King were climbing the mountain, Long Xiaoju arrived at Dongyang City in the East Wilderness. The Grand Shaman King just arrived, and Your Highness is here. What's going on? Seeing Long Xiaoju appear in Dongyang City, the people of the sorcerer tribe were confused. Didn't they say that Dongyang City would be managed by the sorcerer tribe? Your Highness, why are you here? Dongyang City, the Grand Shaman King led a group of subordinates to welcome Long Xiaoju into the hall of the city lord's mansion. Long Xiaoju walked directly to the throne in the middle of the hall and sat on it. When the Great Mage King and the others saw this scene, they did not dare to show any dissatisfaction. The Great Mage King had not even warmed his seat as the city lord yet. Go find Yarrow Wutian for me, Long Xiaoju said. Yes, Your Highness. The Great Mage King received the order and left with his subordinates. Yarrow Wutian was a big shot in the Eastern Wilderness Demon Clan because he was the one who led the Eastern Wilderness Demon Clan's army and killed their way into the Southern Wilderness. Originally, Yarrow Wutian could really lead the Eastern Wasteland Demon Race army to directly kill their way to the Southern Barbarian royal capital. But because of Jiyu Fei's intervention, Yarrow Wutian had no choice but to retreat. How could the Great Mage King not know of such an amazing person? Very soon, the Great Witch King returned. You found it so quickly? Long Xiaoju really had to look at the Great Mage King's abilities in a new light. Your Highness, we've found it. Yarrow Wutian is in southern Qilin City. The Great Witch King said. South Qilin City? Long Xiaoju couldn't help but frown. Yarrow Wutian actually went to southern Qilin City. In fact, Long Xiaoju really didn't want to see Yarrow Wutian again. Because previously in the southern barbarian royal capital, she said that she didn't want to see this guy again. But now, she had to find Yarrow Wutian again. This was simply slapping her own face. Thinking of this, Long Xiaoju was very unhappy. The Azure Dragon clan of the Eastern Wilderness Demon Clan actually had some relationship with the West Sea Dragon clan. However, the relationship between the West Sea Dragon clan and the Eastern Wilderness Azure Dragon clan wasn't that good. Looks like I have to make a trip to southern Qilin City, Long Xiaoju sighed. This. Your Highness, do you want me to accompany you? The Great Witch King said carefully. Forget it, you better be the city lord here. I'm leaving. Long Xiaoju came in a hurry and left in a hurry. She directly left Eastern Sun City through the teleportation portal and went straight to southern Qilin City. The distance between the 5 great immortal cities of the Eastern Wilderness was really not close. Because the 5 great cities were located in the north, south, east, west, and center. However, between the 5 great immortal cities, there was a teleportation portal that allowed the creatures of the 5 great immortal cities to travel between the 5 great cities. Soon, Long Xiaoju appeared in southern Qilin City. She was the second disciple of Jiyu Fei. As soon as she appeared in southern Qilin City, she was directly targeted by the Fire Qilin clan. This was the territory of the Fire Qilin clan. Long Xiaozhou's appearance in southern Qilin City really made the Fire Qilin clan extremely nervous. They were all guessing why Jiyu Fei's disciple would come to southern Qilin City. Oh no! After receiving the news that Long Xiaoju appeared in southern Qilin City, the Fire Qilin clan ancestor was shocked. Ancestor, it's not Jiyu Fei who came. It's really shameful to see you so scared. Huling Xian laughed. What do you know? If Long Xiaoju dies here, we will be in big trouble. The Fire Qilin clan ancestor scolded. This, Huling Xian also suddenly came to a realization. Lin Xiaotian was still wandering outside. If he took action, Long Xiaoju would definitely die. Long Xiaoju was the second disciple of Jiyu Fei. If she died in southern Qilin City, no matter whether it was done by the Fire Qilin clan or not, it would not be able to escape responsibility. At that time, who could bear the anger of Jiyu Fei? The fate of the Phoenix clan in Dongyang City was a lesson. Send someone to protect Long Xiaoju. Huling Xian was also anxious. She directly turned around and rushed out. It's really troublesome. As the Fire Chilean clan ancestor spoke, he directly transmitted his voice to an Emperor realm expert in the clan. Soon, a figure rushed out of the City Lord mansion. The appearance of Long Xiaoju caused chaos in the Fire Chilean clan. Although the Fire Chilean clan ancestor knew that Lin Xiaotian had left southern Chilean city with East King, it was difficult to guarantee that those two guys would return. Long Xiaoju did not know that her arrival had brought a lot of trouble to the Fire Chilean clan. Just as Long Xiaoju was wandering on the street, Hualing Xian found her. Sister Long, long time no see. Hualing Xian smiled and appeared in front of Long Xiaoju. Isn't this Sister Hualing Xian? I didn't expect to meet you on the street. Long Xiaoju was not surprised to see Hualing Xian. It would be strange if the Fire Chilean clan did not appear. It's rare for Sister to come to our southern Chilean city. I will be the host and welcome Sister. Hualing Xian smiled. I'm not familiar with southern Chilean city. Please lead the way. Long Xiaoju pondered for a moment and said, Sister, please. Hualing Xian said and led the way. They directly entered the City Lord mansion and came to the backyard. At this time, there was already a banquet in the yard. In southern Chilean city, the safest place was the City Lord mansion. Currently, the Emperor realm experts of the 4 major clans lived in the City Lord mansion. Chapter 53-47. Long Xiaozhou's appearance in southern Chilean city was definitely a big deal for the Fire Chilean race. No one knew how severe the consequences would be if something happened to Long Xiaozhou in southern Chilean city. However, Ancestor Fireklin didn't want anything to happen to Long Xiaozhou in southern Chilean city. Therefore, as long as Long Xiaozhou was in southern Chilean city, he would have a headache and would have to protect Long Xiaozhou. At this time, Long Xiaozhou was invited to the Castellan mansion by Hualing Xian. The Castellan mansion was the safest place in the entire city. Hualing Xian hosted a banquet to welcome Long Xiaozhou. The Fire Chilean race wanted to know why Long Xiaozhou suddenly came to southern Chilean city. Sister, you're looking for Yarrow Wutian? Hualing Xian was a little surprised after knowing why Long Xiaozhou was here. Yes, can you find him? Long Xiaozhou asked. I can, but can I ask why you're looking for Yarrow Wutian? Hualing Xian was even more curious. Nothing much, I just want to ask where the copper gate of heaven and earth is. Long Xiaozhou told her why she was looking for Yarrow Wutian because she didn't need to hide anything. Copper gate of heaven and earth? Hualing Xian was shocked. She didn't expect Long Xiaozhou to come to southern Chilean city for the copper gate of heaven and earth. Even the Emperor realm expert of the Fire Chilean clan who was protecting Long Xiaozhou in secret was shocked. The copper gate of heaven and earth was a secret that only Emperor realm experts knew about. Even Hualing Xian didn't know. Sister is looking for the copper gate of heaven and earth. Hualing Xian looked at Long Xiaozhou in shock. It's not me who wants to find it, it's my master who wants to find it. Long Xiaozhou said. What? Hualing Xian was shocked again. This was important news. Ji Fei was looking for the copper gate of heaven and earth. What was going on? Didn't Yarrow Wutian say that Ji Fei wasn't interested in the copper gate of heaven and earth? The Emperor realm experts in the Castellan mansion were all shocked. Currently, the demon sovereigns of the 4 great demon clans lived in the South Unicorn City Lord mansion. It was impossible for them not to know that Long Xiaozhou appeared in the City Lord mansion. What's wrong with Yarrow Wutian? The ancestor of the Fire Sparrow race said angrily. Where did Yarrow Wutian die? Hurry up and bring him back. The patriarch of the Black Tortoise clan was also furious. These demonic emperors were all communicating through their divine will. Your Azure Dragon clan has gone too far. Ancestor Fireklin was also very unhappy. All the demon sovereigns thought that Yarrow Wutian was lying, which made Patriarch Green Dragon very depressed. Go and capture Yarrow Wutian. Patriarch Azure Dragon gave the order. Very quickly, the experts of the Azure Dragon clan moved out and directly captured Yarrow Wutian, who had already left southern Chilean city. This caused Yarrow Wutian to be dumbfounded, not knowing what was going on. At this moment, Ji Fei and the Sorcerer Emperor had already entered the snowy mountain where the copper gate of heaven and earth was located. However, not long after, Ji Yufei walked out of the snow mountain again. He directly sent a message to Long Xiaoju, then returned to the snowy mountain to meet up with the shaman emperor. He then walked up the mountain without even turning his head back. The endless snowy mountain was really too high, and they couldn't fly in the air, so they could only walk up step by step. It was really not an easy task to reach the peak. And the legendary Copper Gate of Heaven and Earth was at the peak of this snowy mountain. However, with the speed of Ji Yufei and the shaman emperor, even if they were walking, it was not slow. The two figures moved quickly on the snowy mountain, and soon, they disappeared on the mountain. Ji Yufei's divine will transmission speed was extremely fast. Just as Long Xiaoju was still drinking with Hualing's Yan a divine light descended from the sky and landed directly in front of Long Xiaoju. Seeing this scene, Hualing's Yan was shocked, and the demon sovereigns in the dark were even more shocked. This divine light could actually ignore the city defense grand formation and land in the city lord mansion. Master's message. Long Xiaoju grabbed the divine light that was floating in front of her, and the next moment, Ji Yufei's voice rang in her mind. What? Master already knows where the Copper Gate of Heaven and Earth is? Long Xiaoju was shocked. How did Master know where the Copper Gate of Heaven and Earth was? She was very curious. Sister, what's wrong? Seeing Long Xiaoju stunned for a while, Hualing's Yan couldn't help but ask. Oh, it's nothing. I don't need to see Yarrow Wutian anymore. Long Xiaoju said to Hualing's Yan What? Hualing's Yan was startled. Could it be that Ji Yufei already found the Copper Gate of Heaven and Earth? The demon sovereigns who were about to bring Yarrow Wutian to Long Xiaoju were also startled. What the hell was going on? And Yarrow Wutian was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He sighed in his heart. It's so hard for me. Then, Yarrow Wutian was questioned by a group of demon sovereigns for no reason. He could only lament in his heart. It's so hard for me, so hard for me. Long Xiaoju was very happy that she didn't need to see Yarrow Wutian anymore. She was in a good mood and suddenly became interested. She pulled Hualing's Yan to drink. At this time, Ji Yufei and the shaman emperor had already arrived at the foot of the snowy mountain. Looking around, there was snow everywhere. Hey, there's a stone house over there. How about we go and take a look? Ji Yufei suddenly realized that there was a stone house not far from them. The shaman emperor nodded. Thus, the two of them walked towards the stone house. When they arrived in front of the stone house, they were shocked. The stone house's door was wide open, and there was a corpse lying at the door. What's going on? Ji Yufei was shocked. One should know that ordinary people couldn't come to this place, and those who could were definitely not ordinary people. The corpse at the door was lying on the ground. Ji Yufei and the others couldn't see this person's face. At this time, Ji Yufei and the shaman emperor's cultivation were suppressed. They couldn't use their strength even if they wanted to. Ji Yufei suddenly kicked a stone on the ground and smashed it towards the corpse. When the stone smashed on the corpse, there was no movement from the corpse. I'm afraid this person has been dead for a long time. The shaman emperor suddenly said. How do you know? Ji Yufei looked at the shaman emperor curiously. Can't you see that this corpse is already frozen on the ground and is stuck to the ground? The shaman emperor said indifferently. Ji Yufei looked and it was really so. However, although this person had been dead for a long time, who could guarantee that this corpse was not dangerous? Forget it, let's not complicate the issue. Let's go. The shaman emperor said. Timpy. Ji Yufei suddenly sneered. In the next moment, he actually punched towards the stone house. There was no strong wave of energy that exploded from his fist. However, the fist wind that Ji Yufei punched out was incomparably strong. It actually directly shook the stone house. He directly went forward and punched the wall of the stone house. With a loud sound, the entire stone house directly collapsed. Ji Yufei possessed the true limitless martial physique. The power of his punch was not small. The shaman emperor was directly shocked by Ji Yufei. Chapter 53-48. At the foot of the snow mountain where the Copper Gate of the universe was located, there was a stone house. Moreover, there was a corpse in front of the stone house. This surprised both Ji Yufei and the Sorcerer Emperor. The Sorcerer Emperor was very careful. He wanted to retreat because the situation on the Snow Mountain was very strange. No one knew what they would encounter on the Snow Mountain. It should be known that this was a place that even sovereign warriors were not willing to set foot in. Because here, even sovereign warriors would be in danger. Since ancient times, many sovereign warriors had entered this Snow Mountain and then disappeared, never to come out again. The Copper Gate of the universe could not be opened. Those Renhuang realm warriors who disappeared did not open the Copper Gate of the universe and enter the legendary world without death. Therefore, everyone guessed that those Renhuang realm warriors who disappeared on the Snow Mountain were already dead. It was just that they did not know which corner of the Snow Mountain they died in. Because this Snow Mountain was really too big. Even Renhuang realm warriors would get lost on the mountain and then be trapped on the Snow Mountain until they died. The Sorcerer Emperor had some concerns, but Ji Yufei did not have any. He actually went forward and destroyed the stone house with one palm. This shocked the Sorcerer Emperor. "What are you doing?" The Sorcerer Emperor, who had always been cold, was also nervous at this time. "Isn't it just a stone house? What are you nervous about?" Ji Yufei said disapprovingly. "The things on the Snow Mountain are very strange. Don't complicate things. Let's go quickly." The Sorcerer Emperor looked around. When she found that there was nothing strange around, she breathed a sigh of relief. "Is there something strange about this mountain?" Ji Yufei frowned. "What do you think?" The Sorcerer Emperor said impatiently. "I want to see what is in this stone house." Ji Yufei said as he slapped out again. Although his cultivation was also suppressed by the power that enveloped the Snow Mountain, his martial body itself was strong enough. He struck out with his palm and a powerful gust of wind immediately appeared in front of him. This gust of wind directly blew away the stones. "Phut, there is nothing." Ji Yufei was a little disappointed. That's," Ji Yufei suddenly exclaimed. Then, he stretched out his right hand and made a grabbing motion in the air. An item immediately flew out from the scattered bricks and fell into his hand. This was the simplest dragon capturing crane technique. Although Ji Yufei's cultivation level was suppressed by the power of the Snow Mountain, he could still release his essence qi. When the Shaman Emperor saw this, he was also a little impressed. That was because Ji Yufei's eyesight was really very good. He was actually able to find this item amidst the countless flying bricks. The Shaman Emperor's gaze landed on the item Ji Yufei had mentioned. That item was actually a piece of beast skin, and in this world of ice and snow, something like beast skin should have been frozen solid. However, the Shaman Emperor discovered that the beast skin on Ji Yufei's hand was actually incomparably soft. This was very unusual. "A map." Ji Yufei looked at the beast skin in his hand and muttered, "Map. Let me take a look." The Shaman Emperor moved forward to take a look. He saw that on the beast skin on Ji Yufei's hand, there was a map. There were countless lines on the map, and there were also words on it. However, it was an incomparably ancient word. Even an old antique like the Shaman Emperor couldn't recognize it. The mountain in the middle of the map, could it be this Snow Mountain? Ji Yufei suddenly pointed at the huge mountain in the middle of the map and said, "The peak of the mountain," the Shaman Emperor muttered. "This is a map of the location of the Copper Gate of Heaven and Earth." Ji Yufei was a little disappointed. It seemed that the guy who died here had found this place according to the map, and then died here. Why did he die here? Ji Yufei really couldn't understand. To others, this map might be very precious, but to him, the map in his hand didn't have any value at all. Ji Yufei was about to throw the map away. "Hey, wait, you don't have to send me off." The Shaman Emperor snatched the map from Ji Yufei's hand. "Let's continue on our way." As Ji Yufei spoke, he turned around and walked away. However, he didn't notice that the corpse that was lying on the ground suddenly opened its eyes, and the eyes of this corpse were blood red. The corpse that was lying on the ground silently stood up, and then directly pounced towards Ji Yufei. At this moment, the Shaman Emperor was staring at the map in his hand, and actually didn't notice that the corpse on the ground had stood up. It was only when the corpse pounced towards Ji Yufei that the Shaman Emperor reacted. At this moment, The corpse had already pounced behind Ji Yufei, and was about to pounce on Ji Yufei. The shaman emperor was shocked, and wanted to warn Ji Yufei, but it was too late. At the instant when the corpse was about to pounce on Ji Yufei didn't even turn his head, and directly swept his right fist behind him. Bam! This fist of Ji Yufei's landed solidly on the right temple of the corpse, and the corpse was sent flying for over 10 feet, directly smashing into a pile of snow. Trying to sneak attack me? What a joke! Only then did Ji Yufei slowly turn around. At this moment, the corpse had already rushed out from the pile of snow, and it roared in a low voice as it pounced towards Ji Yufei and the shaman emperor. What's going on? The shaman emperor was extremely shocked. This snow mountain was very strange, and she knew it a long time ago. Because she had been here before, she was very respectful towards this snow mountain. Unimaginable and inauspicious things had happened on the snow mountain. Back then, when the shaman emperor was still the ruler of South China, she had once ventured into the snow mountain with other emperors from other regions. At that time, 5 emperors had joined forces to venture into the snow mountain, but only 2 of them had returned alive, and the other emperors had remained on this snow mountain forever. Back then, this was a matter that shook the world. It was also because of the trip to the snow mountain that she had been injured, and it had been very difficult for her to recover. This was the reason why the shaman emperor had an opportunity to take advantage of. Otherwise, when the shaman emperor was at her peak, the shaman emperor wouldn't have been a match for the shaman emperor, and she wouldn't have been able to defeat the shaman emperor and become the ruler of South China. Even though the shaman emperor was injured and hadn't come out for a stroll for 3,000 years, she still managed to suppress the shaman emperor, causing the shaman emperor to not dare to exterminate the sorcerer tribe. You ask me, but who should I ask? Ji Yufei was really speechless. A corpse would definitely not suddenly attack people for no reason. What exactly was controlling this corpse? He strode towards the corpse. In terms of close combat, no one in this world could compare to Ji Yufei. One must know that he was a martial artist, and a martial artist who had cultivated to the infinite realm. Even the martial ancestor of the past was far from cultivating to this level. The living corpse had just rushed in front of Ji Yufei when it was directly grabbed by Ji Yufei, and like a sack, it was thrown far away. The living corpse was directly thrown by Ji Yufei more than 100 feet away, and it plunged into the pile of snow, leaving only its 2 legs outside, kicking wildly. Chapter 53-49. The culmination snow mountain was a forbidden area in the entire Void Realm. Only those in the Emperor Realm were qualified to enter the range of the snow mountain. This was because it was a forbidden area for life. Beings below the Emperor Realm would not live long if they entered the range of the snow mountain. Even an existence in the Emperor Realm would be in danger if they entered the range of the snow mountain. There were strange beings on the snow mountain that could threaten the Emperor Realm. Right now, Ji Yufei and the others had encountered such a being. A living corpse. At this moment, the living corpse that Ji Yufei had flung away crawled out of the snow and directly pounced towards Ji Yufei and the others. How do we kill this thing? Ji Yufei asked the shaman emperor beside him. How would I know? The shaman emperor looked at the charging living corpse with some fear. How troublesome. Ji Yufei directly faced the living corpse. Then, he lowered his body and swept his right leg towards the living corpse's legs. Bam! Crack! The 2 legs of the living corpse were immediately broken, and it fell to the ground. Ji Yufei was a genuine unbounded martial physique. He directly broke the legs of the living corpse. The living corpse fell to the ground, but it still crawled towards Ji Yufei. Damn, it's still coming at this point. Ji Yufei was speechless. In order to prevent the living corpse from harming others, he directly kicked the living corpse's forehead. In the next moment, the living corpse stopped moving. However, just when Ji Yufei thought that he had finished off this living corpse, a bloody light suddenly rushed out of the living corpse's head and shot towards Ji Yufei like lightning. Ji Yufei slapped out and immediately slapped the bloody light away. With a pop, the bloody light shot onto a rock and directly exploded. Something that looked like blood splattered on the rock. Dirty my hands. Ji Yufei looked down and saw that his right hand was stained with a bloody paste. It was extremely disgusting. He hurriedly squatted down and used the snow on the ground to clean the dirty thing off his hand. Could it be the legendary demon bloodworm? The shaman emperor suddenly said. You know about that thing? Ji Yufei stood up and asked. I don't know. I've heard of it, but it's my first time seeing it. The shaman emperor explained. Let's go. The shaman emperor didn't want to stay here any longer. He turned around and left. However, at that moment, countless blood-colored things emerged from the snow around them. Those things looked like tentacles, and on the tentacles, there were countless blood vessels. Let's go. When the shaman emperor saw this, he was instantly shocked. It turned out that there were such things hidden in the snow beneath their feet. They had already been surrounded by these strange things. Even if you didn't say anything, I would have left anyway. Ji Yufei directly carried up the shaman emperor and ran up the mountain. As he ran, it was like he was flying on snow. His speed was extremely fast, and the tentacles on the ground could not stop him at all. Ji Yufei stomped down, and the strange tentacles that emerged from the snow were directly trampled into a bloody paste. Being carried by Ji Yufei, the shaman emperor couldn't help but be shocked and embarrassed. She felt the manly aura on Ji Yufei's body, and a strange feeling that she had never felt before arose in her heart. What's going on? The shaman emperor felt that her face had become boiling hot. She had never felt this way before. I'm not afraid of these things, but it doesn't mean that you aren't. Ji Yufei said. As he carried the shaman emperor, he smelled a faint fragrance, and his heart couldn't help but be moved. If there were people from the shaman tribe who saw this scene, their jaws would definitely drop. One must know that the shaman emperor was the supreme existence of the shaman tribe, and he was their high and mighty ruler. If it wasn't for the shaman emperor, the entire shaman tribe would have long ceased to exist. One must know that if the shaman emperor had died in the hands of the shaman emperor, the shaman tribe would have long been annihilated. And now, there was actually someone who was carrying the shaman emperor, who was incomparably holy in their hearts. How could the countless people of the shaman tribe accept this scene? Ji Yufei sprinted all the way, and directly rushed out of the encirclement of those strange tentacles, and came to a snow valley. This snow valley was filled with huge rocks, and there was a thick layer of snow on the ground. If it was an ordinary person, it would be difficult for them to walk here. However, Ji Yufei carried the shaman emperor, and walked on the snow, leaving only a line of shallow footprints. Put me down quickly. The shaman emperor struggled out from Ji Yufei's embrace. When she left Ji Yufei's embrace, she actually felt a little reluctant. There's something strange here. After Ji Yufei entered this snow valley, he felt that something was wrong. Very quickly, he found out what was wrong. There was actually an extremely faint fragrance drifting in this snow valley. He possessed a true boundless grade martial physique, and his sense of smell was many times stronger than the shaman emperor's. Ji Yufei followed the trace of fragrance in the air and searched for it. What's wrong? The shaman emperor asked curiously. You didn't smell anything? Ji Yufei said. I didn't. The shaman emperor was even more curious. At this moment, Ji Yufei walked towards the depths of this snow valley. That is, when Ji Yufei went deep into the snow valley, he saw that there was actually no trace of snow at the end of the snow valley. Not only was there no snow, but there were also flowers and trees, and it was full of vitality. How is this possible? The shaman emperor was so shocked that her eyes widened. She had been to this snow mountain before, but she didn't find such a place with such vitality, because there was only snow and rocks here. Moreover, the snow on the snow mountain never melted. In such a cold place, there was no vegetation that could survive. But now, in this snow valley, there was such a scene of vitality, and this was simply unbelievable to the shaman emperor. There must be a reason for this abnormality. Ji Yufei didn't dare to go forward. He observed carefully, and saw that there was a strange small tree rooted on a huge rock in front of him. That small tree was only about a foot tall, but there were 2 fist-sized yellow fruits hanging on it. These 2 fruits were simply like 2 godly suns, emitting a strong heat and dispersing the cold air in the surroundings. True young fruit. I didn't expect to see such a divine medicine here. Ji Yufei said with some surprise. He wasn't too interested in this divine medicine. In his inner world, there were many divine medicines that were much better than this true yang fruit. But the shaman emperor was different. The shaman emperor didn't have the resources that Ji Yufei had. True yang fruit. You said that this is a true yang fruit. The shaman emperor said excitedly. Isn't it just a true yang fruit? Is there a need to be so excited? Looking at the shaman emperor's excited look, Ji Yufei didn't think much of it. At this moment, the shaman emperor had already rushed forward. Don't! Ji Yufei hurriedly stretched out his hand to stop the shaman emperor, but his hand grabbed nothing. Chapter 5350. The culmination snow mountain was really strange. Not only were there strange living corpses, but there were also unimaginable things. In one of the snow valleys on the mountain, there was actually a place full of vitality. And in this place, there was a true yang tree. On the true yang tree, there were 2 true yang fruits that looked like godly sons. These were godly medicines. However, Ji Yufei did not place this level of divine medicine in his eyes at all, because he had seen far too many divine medicines that were many times better than the true yang fruit. The immortal ancestral dragon godly medicine was now in his inner world. However, the shaman emperor was different. She needed the true yang fruit, the godly medicine that had condensed the true yang essence. Because there was a problem with her cultivation, she needed the true yang fruit to perfect her cultivation. Once her cultivation was perfect, she would be able to take that step. So, when the witch emperor saw the true yang fruit, she could not help but rush over. However, just as the witch emperor rushed to the true yang tree, a black shadow shot out from the side like lightning, directly towards the witch emperor. Be careful. Ji Yufei hurriedly rushed over, but he was still a step too late. The black shadow directly bit the witch emperor's right hand. At this moment, Ji Yufei had already rushed over. He stretched out his right hand and pinched the black thing between his index and middle fingers. Ji Yufei exerted force and the black thing directly died. This thing turned out to be a black snake the size of a chopstick. He directly threw the snake to the side. This little black snake looked a little strange. There were actually 4 small claws growing from the abdomen of the little black snake. This was simply a small black flood dragon. At this moment, the witch emperor who was bitten by the little black snake was on the verge of collapse. Her entire right hand had turned black, and a black aura was still spreading to other parts of her body. This. Ji Yufei hugged the tottering witch emperor. He was really shocked. One should know that the witch emperor was an emperor of a generation. Her cultivation was at the peak, and she was already at the peak of the emperor realm. With the cultivation of the witch emperor, she could break through to the half-step emperor realm at any time. Such a powerful being was actually poisoned after being bitten by this little black. Moreover, this poison was very powerful, and even shaman emperors could not suppress the toxicity of this snake poison. No one, not even Ji Yufei, could have imagined that this little black snake could actually be so venomous that it could kill an emperor. Even an emperor would die if bitten by this little black snake. With me here, you won't die. Ji Yufei directly tore off the shaman emperor's veil. He only felt that his eyes lit up, and a face that could not be any more beautiful appeared before his eyes. It was really hard to describe. Ever since Ji Yufei started his career, he had seen countless beautiful women. His wife, Yang was the most beautiful woman in the world. His daughter was also extremely beautiful. But now, the woman who appeared in front of him was more beautiful than all the women he had ever seen. Ji Yufei found it hard to believe that there was such a beautiful person in this world. Even Ji Yufei was stunned by the shaman emperor's appearance. At this moment, Ji Yufei could not care so much. He directly bit his left index finger and dripped a drop of blood into the shaman emperor's mouth. Originally, he could have asked for a drop of the immortal ancestral dragon elixir to save the shaman emperor, but now he did not have the time. It wasn't an easy task to get the elixir from the immortal ancestral dragon divine medicine. Even if he managed to get the elixir from the immortal ancestral dragon divine medicine, the shaman emperor would have died long ago. Ji Yufei's martial physique was truly the limitless martial physique. His blood was even more useful than the immortal ancestral dragon elixir. After a drop of blood fell into the shaman emperor's mouth, the layer of black gas that enveloped the shaman emperor's face retreated at a speed visible to the naked eye. Very quickly, black blood seeped out of the wound on the Shaman Emperor's right arm. Not long after, even the wound caused by the two little black snake's venomous fangs disappeared. And at this moment, the Shaman Emperor's state seemed to be a little strange. She struggled out of Ji Yufei's embrace and directly sat cross-legged on the ground. Breaking through at this moment? No way. Ji Yufei was a little speechless. He did not expect the Shaman Emperor to break through at this moment. Could it be because of that drop of blood of his? When he thought of this, Ji Yufei could not help but be a little confused. His blood was the limitless blood. Although it was only a drop, it was extremely precious. Ji Yufei's drop of blood contained the limitless Tao that he cultivated. Sigh. Ji Yufei let out a sigh and began to carefully examine the surroundings. He wanted to ensure that there was no danger in this place because the current Shaman Emperor could not be disturbed. Once he was disturbed, the Shaman Emperor was very likely to go berserk. Ji Yufei had to protect the Shaman Emperor. Very quickly, Ji Yufei examined the surroundings. There were no other dangers in this place. Hence, he sat cross-legged on a large rock that was a dozen meters away from the Shaman Emperor. Although his power was suppressed, he could still sense the movements of the grass in his surroundings. Actually, if his cultivation recovered to the limitless realm, even the power of the limitless realm on the snowy mountain would not be able to do anything to him. Ji Yufei could confirm that the universal copper gate was something from the limitless realm. Otherwise, how could the power of the universal copper gate envelop the entire culmination snowy mountain and suppress the powerful living beings that entered the snowy mountain? At this moment, a snowstorm blew outside the snowy valley. The entire sky darkened, and the wind howled outside. It was incomparably terrifying. However, the snowy valley was very quiet. The snowstorm outside did not affect the snowy valley at all. Ji Yufei really could not understand how the snowy valley avoided the snowstorm outside. No wonder no living beings could survive outside. Who could withstand the snowstorm outside? Even if it was Ji Yufei himself, he would not be able to withstand the snowstorm outside. Even if he did not die, he would definitely be in an extremely sorry state. He might even be frozen on the snowy mountain. He could feel the temperature outside the snowy valley dropping rapidly. The coldness seemed to be able to freeze the heavens and the earth. However, this place in the snowy valley was not affected. Was it because of the true yang tree? At the end of the snowy valley, a wave of true yang energy had condensed. It was because of the existence of this wave of true yang energy that this place was filled with vitality. The snowstorm outside continued. The wind howled. Within the howling wind, there was ice and snow wreaking havoc on the snowy mountain. Even at the end of the valley, Ji Yufei could hear the howling of the wind. The shaman sovereign, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, still had a calm expression. However, the energy in her body was undergoing an earth-shattering change. With the cultivation of the shaman sovereign, she could naturally sense the Tao contained within the drop of limitless blood that Ji Yufei had. Epiphany was a cultivation state that all cultivators yearned for even in their dreams. However, there were so many cultivators in the world. Those who could achieve enlightenment were 1 in 10,000. Ji Yufei did not know how long it would take for the shaman sovereign to break through the shackles of her cultivation and soar into the sky. All he could do was wait. And at this moment, without any warning, one black shadow after another appeared in the snowy valley. These black shadows were staring at Ji Yufei and the shaman sovereign. Chapter 53-51. On the culmination snow mountain, a terrifying storm suddenly erupted. Outside the snow valley, the wind howled, and countless snowflakes were swept up by the wind, wreaking havoc everywhere. However, within the snow valley, it was very calm. The snowstorm outside did not affect the snow valley at all. This made Ji Yufei very shocked. One must know that the snowstorm outside was extremely terrifying. The shaman queen was still sitting cross-legged on the ground. She was in a mysterious state of cultivation, and no one knew when she would wake up from such a state of cultivation. Ji Yufei was protecting the shaman queen in the snow valley. However, what he was most worried about still happened. In the snow valley, one demonic shadow after another appeared soundlessly. These demonic shadows emitted black demonic aura. The heads of the demonic shadows emitted 2 rays of blood-red light. Those were the eyes of the demonic shadows. These demonic shadows did not seem to need to blink, they were constantly emitting blood-red light. Ji Yufei directly stood up from the big rock. He stared at the demonic shadows, and his heart was somewhat shocked. How did these demonic shadows enter? He actually did not sense how these demonic shadows entered the valley. At this moment, a demonic shadow silently pounced towards the shaman queen who was in the midst of breaking through. Ji Yufei took a step forward, and instantly stood between the demonic shadow and the shaman queen. Without any hesitation, Ji Yufei directly punched towards the demonic shadow. However, the demonic shadow still pounced forward, and did not stop Ji Yufei's fist. Ji Yufei's fist directly pierced through the demonic shadow. What? Ji Yufei was shocked. Because this punch that he punched out, although it landed on the body of the demonic shadow, although the fist pierced through the demonic shadow, it was as if it had hit the air, and there was no feeling of any impact at all. In the instant that Ji Yufei was shocked, the demonic shadow had already pounced on him. In the next moment, Ji Yufei felt his entire body turn cold. The demonic shadow entered his body, and a demonic will directly surged towards the center of his eyebrows, wanting to take over his martial body. Overestimating yourself. Ji Yufei instantly calmed down. The demonic shadow that had pounced on him actually wanted to occupy his martial body. This was simply courting death. With just a thought, a wave of power erupted from Ji Yufei's sea of consciousness, directly destroying the demonic will that was surging towards his glabella. The power that erupted from Ji Yufei's sea of consciousness was one of the 9 secrets of the immortal Tao, the sword of the primordial spirit materialization of the Tao. This power could slay the primordial spirit. In the face of Ji Yufei's essence soul Tao sword, the demonic will was as weak as an ant. It was directly destroyed. A faint black shadow rushed out of Ji Yufei's body and struggled to dissipate into the void. Humph. So it's just some demonic creatures formed from demonic thoughts. As Ji Yufei spoke, the demonic shadows outside had already moved. More than a dozen demonic shadows pounced towards Ji Yufei at the same time. They were like phantoms that swept through the void. At that moment, the corners of Ji Yufei's mouth curled up slightly, revealing a cold smile. In the next moment, the center of his eyebrows lit up. Swoosh! More than a dozen rays of essence soul Tao sword light rushed out of the center of Ji Yufei's eyebrows. As the sword light passed, the demonic shadows that were charging over were all pierced by the sword light and dissipated into the void. It was as if they had never appeared in the first place. In the blink of an eye, these strange demonic shadows were destroyed by Ji Yufei's essence soul Tao sword. His cultivation was suppressed by the power of the culmination snow mountain, so he could only use the mystiques of the extreme Tao realm. Even so, he could easily destroy these demonic creatures. Roar! Just as Ji Yufei destroyed those demonic shadows, a terrifying demonic roar came from outside the snow valley. Ji Yufei lifted his head abruptly and saw a huge demonic face appearing in the sky above the snow valley. This demonic face covered the entire sky of the snow valley and was looking down at him. "TSK, come in and fight if you have the guts." Ji Yufei directly pointed his middle finger at the hideous and terrifying demonic face in the sky. Rumble! The demonic face in the sky suddenly disappeared. Then, a powerful demonic will exploded and the snowstorm in the sky above the snow valley was triggered. A huge snowstorm tornado swept down from the sky. A huge devouring force came down and actually wanted to swallow Ji Yufei and the Witch Emperor into the snowstorm tornado. "Since you want to play, I'll play with you." As Ji Yufei spoke, he sat down cross-legged. The next moment, Ji Yufei's glabella lit up again. It was as if a divine eye had appeared on his glabella. Countless sharp god-slaying sword chi rushed out from his glabella and slashed towards the sky. The sword light shot up into the sky and actually cut the huge snowstorm tornado that was descending from the sky into pieces and dissipated. The sword light formed by the essence soul Tao sword rushed out of the snow valley and disappeared into the snowstorm outside. A demonic shadow also quickly disappeared into the snowstorm outside. That's all. As Ji Yufei spoke, he closed his eyes and entered a meditative state. Although the demons were strong, He was not to be trifled with. However, this was different from ordinary living beings. It seemed to be just a demonic consciousness. Therefore, it could move freely in the sky and on the ground. It was extremely fast. But Jiu Fei and the Witch Emperor were different. They were living beings with flesh and blood. Because of the shackles of their physical bodies, they could not fly. They could only walk step by step on the ground. Of course, at their level of cultivation, their souls were extremely powerful. Their souls could leave their bodies and roam the world with just a thought. But in a strange place like the culmination snow mountain, even Jiu Fei and the Witch Emperor did not dare to let their souls leave their bodies. This was because once there was a problem with the divine soul, it would be very troublesome if it could not return to its physical body. Furthermore, Jiu Fei was a genuine limitless martial body. His divine soul was very safe in the martial body. But if his soul left the martial body, it was hard to say. Jiu Fei would not do such a stupid thing. At this moment, the wind was still howling outside the snow valley, but it was very quiet inside. Sigh, I can't even calm down. It had only been 4 hours when Jiu Fei, who was sitting on the rock, suddenly opened his eyes. At this moment, the ground outside the entrance of the snow valley suddenly arched up and moved quickly into the snow valley. What is it now? Jiu Fei stood up from the rock and grabbed the air with his right hand. A fist-sized rock on the ground flew into his hand. He directly smashed the rock in his hand towards the thing that was walking underground. Pu. The rock directly smashed into the ground. The next moment, a black shadow broke out from the ground and pounced towards Jiu Fei. This thing was actually several feet long and had countless claws on its abdomen. It was actually a giant centipede. The moment this centipede rushed out from the ground, a wave of evil aura immediately spread out in the valley. Monster. Chapter 53-52. The culmination snow mountain was really strange. It was not a good place, nor was it a treasure land. Not only were there demons, there were also monsters. A huge centipede directly rushed into the snow valley where Jiu Fei and the Shaman Emperor were. An incomparably powerful demonic aura exploded from the centipede's body. Jiu Fei was stunned. Then, he directly punched the centipede monster. He did not care whether it was a demon or a monster. He punched it. Boom. Jiu Fei's punch directly hit the centipede monster's hideous head. It directly smashed the centipede monster into the ground. The centipede monster's head immediately sank into the ground. The centipede monster's head was not as hard as Jiu Fei's fist. It was directly smashed into pieces and died. The centipede monster's huge corpse smashed into the ground, causing the ground to tremble. The centipede monster looked terrifying and powerful, but it could not even withstand one punch from Jiu Fei. It was directly killed. There was no other way. Jiu Fei's martial body was the true infinite martial body. Although his cultivation had not recovered to the infinite prime realm, his martial body had not changed. No matter how powerful the power of the world in the void realm was, it was impossible for it to return his infinite martial body to a mortal body. The following days were peaceful. Nothing else appeared in the snow valley, and the snowstorm outside also stopped after a few days of raging. Sunlight even fell from the top of the snowy valley into the valley. However, not many days after the sun shone, another snowstorm broke out outside the snow valley. This time, the snowstorm was even more terrifying than the previous one. The entire world darkened, as if it had entered the night. This time, a lot of ice and snow fell into the snow valley. There was even a terrifying sound of avalanche coming from outside. It was a tremor that shook the world. The sun and moon lost their light. Even the snow valley where Jiu Fei and the others were in was shaking. Jiu Fei finally understood why there were no living beings on the culmination snow mountain. Who could withstand such a snowstorm? After the snowstorm erupted, a few more creatures escaped into the snow valley. 2 snow-white figures walked into the snow valley. The moment the 2 fellows entered the snow valley, they became vigilant and looked around. Snow ape. Jiu Fei couldn't help but be startled when he saw the 2 fellows that appeared in the valley. Although the 2 fellows that entered the valley to avoid the snowstorm were walking upright, they weren't humans. Instead, They were snow apes with thick and long snow-white fur. These 2 snow apes were more than 3 meters tall. Jiu Fei found a third snow ape. This third snow ape was in the arms of another snow ape. It was a small snow ape. Is this the snow ape family of 3? Jiu Fei was very surprised. There were actually snow apes in this kind of place. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, who would believe it? At that moment, the 2 snow apes carefully led the little snow ape deeper into the valley. Soon, the snow apes saw Jiu Fei sitting cross-legged on a large rock. The 2 snow apes immediately tensed up. When the 2 snow apes saw the body of the giant centipede on the ground, they were so scared that they retreated. Centipede demons were very powerful. Centipede demons could kill snow apes. Right now, the snowstorm was raging outside the valley. If the 2 big snow apes and the little snow ape left the valley, they would definitely die. The snow apes didn't dare leave the valley because they were afraid of Jiu Fei. However, when they saw that Jiu Fei wasn't paying attention to them, they relaxed and found a place to stay. In the blink of an eye, a few more days passed. The 3 snow apes were very intelligent, especially the little one. It was very noisy, jumping up and down all day in the snow valley. It couldn't stop. One day, the little snow ape ran over to Jiu Fei. It lay on the ground and watched Jiu Fei meditate. Jiu Fei had been sitting cross-legged on a large rock for the past few days. He didn't move at all, just like a stone statue. At first, the snow apes were afraid of Jiu Fei. However, now, the 2 big snow apes weren't afraid of Jiu Fei anymore. The little snow ape was even more mischievous. It often played around Jiu Fei. However, when the little snow ape tried to get close to the Witch King, Jiu Fei grabbed it and threw it away. Of course, Jiu Fei didn't want to hurt the little snow ape. The little snow ape was very cute. The first time the little snow ape had been thrown away by Jiu Fei, it had been very scared. However, after a few more times, the little snow ape wasn't afraid anymore. "Little guy, do you want to cultivate too?" Jiu Fei suddenly asked. The little snow ape didn't know how to speak. It just jumped onto a large rock and snuggled into Jiu Fei's arms. It even rubbed its head against Jiu Fei's body from time to time. Jiu Fei slowly stroked the little snow ape's fur. His hands were filled with energy. This energy flowed through the little snow ape's body, helping it change its muscles and cleanse its marrow. The little snow ape fell asleep comfortably. When it woke up, its body had become much stronger. The 2 snow apes were guarding outside. They stared nervously at the little snow ape in Jiu Fei's arms. It had to be said that the little snow ape was really lucky. Jiu Fei had actually helped it change its muscles and cleanse its marrow. Even Xiao Ya didn't have this kind of treatment. Boom! At that moment, a black shadow suddenly fell from the sky of the snow valley and smashed into the ground. The black thing suddenly bloomed. Rays of demonic light surrounded it. It was a black demonic flower. In the middle of the flower, there was a demonic figure sitting cross-legged. Jiu Fei felt a pulse that resonated with the Tao. This demon was incredible. Its level of cultivation seemed to be very high. In the Void Realm, Jiu Fei had only felt this kind of feeling from the Limitless Demon. Could this demon be mentioned in the same breath as the Limitless Demon? At that moment, the demonic aura that had enveloped the demonic flower dissipated. Jiu Fei had also seen that demonic figure clearly. It was a woman dressed in black. She had a very young appearance and was also extremely beautiful. If one were to look at her appearance, she would actually not lose to a shaman emperor in the slightest. However, the demonic woman and the Witch King were 2 extremes in terms of temperament. The shaman emperor was a fairy that didn't eat the food of the mortal world, but this demoness was very dangerous. At least, Jiu Fei felt that this demoness was very dangerous. A cold and terrifying aura spread out from the demoness body. The ground around the demonic flower was instantly covered in a layer of black ice. The 2 snowy apes were scared out of their wits and immediately hid behind Jiu Fei. "Who are you?" Jiu Fei looked at the woman sitting cross-legged in the demonic flower. Whoosh! Hearing Jiu Fei's voice, the woman sitting cross-legged in the demonic flower suddenly opened her eyes. Two rays of crimson light immediately rushed out of the black-clothed woman's eyes and shot towards Ji Yufei. They were dozens of feet apart, but the crimson demonic light that rushed out of the demonic woman's eyes shot towards Ji Yufei in an instant. Chapter 53:53. A demonic flower fell from the sky. The demonic flower bloomed, revealing a demon woman sitting inside. Ji Yufei was dumbfounded by this scene. What was going on? At this time, the two snow apes were hiding behind Ji Yufei. The snow apes were spiritual divine beasts. The snow ape family of 3 was able to live in the culmination snow mountain. They were much more powerful than ordinary divine beasts. Otherwise, the snow apes would not have been able to survive on culmination snow mountain. The demon woman sitting in the demonic flower opened her eyes, and 2 beams of blood-colored demonic light shot out from her pupils towards Ji Yufei. However, Ji Yufei casually waved his hand and the 2 blood-colored demonic lights dissipated in the void as if they had never appeared in the first place. When Ji Yufei moved, the little snow ape in his arms woke up. The little snow ape roared at the demon woman. "Okay, little fellow, go to your parents and stay there." Ji Yufei handed the little fellow to the 2 snow apes behind him. The 2 snow apes took the little fellow and hid behind the valley. They knew that it was safest to stay near the Witch King. Ji Yufei would not let anyone near the Witch King, not even their little fellow. The Witch King was protected by a formation that Ji Yufei had set up. "Enter my Dao, and you can live forever." At this time, a demonic thought spread out from the demon woman sitting in the demonic flower. Ji Yufei was speechless. What was this guy trying to do? She wanted to spread her Dao. Moreover, she was spreading the demonic Dao, and she even said that she could live forever. Even she wouldn't dare say such a thing. How arrogant. Ji Yufei slowly stood up from the boulder and calmly looked at the demoness sitting cross-legged in the demonic flower. "Enter my Dao, and you can live forever." The demoness emitted such a demonic will again. "This again? Don't you have a second one?" Ji Yufei said angrily. "Enter my Dao, and you can live forever." The demonic will came again. This demoness among the demonic flowers seemed to only know this one sentence. "I'll destroy you right now." After saying that, both of Ji Yufei's feet pushed off the ground and he leapt into the air. He pounced at Demon Woman, who was seated cross-legged in the middle of the demonic flowers. Next, he unleashed a 5 elements fist. Boom! A violent fist force erupted from Ji Yufei's fist. The temperature of the entire snowy valley rose rapidly. The fist force was like fire. This was the fire element fist of the 5 elements fist. "Enter my Dao, and you can live forever," the demoness kept saying the same thing. However, when Ji Yufei attacked, the demoness who was sitting cross-legged in the demon flower also made her move. She gently tapped out with a finger, directly tapping on Ji Yufei's incoming fist. Even Ji Yufei couldn't tell how powerful this finger was. However, this finger actually blocked Ji Yufei's incomparably powerful fire element fist. The violent fist force actually turned into nothingness under the demoness finger. At the same time, Ji Yufei only felt a cold aura coming from the other party's finger on his fist. In the next moment, the blood in his body almost froze. Ji Yufei wanted to retreat immediately. However, a pale hand grabbed his arm and pulled him into the demonic flowers, facing the demoness. What? Ji Yufei's shock was no small matter. In the next moment, a terrifying demonic will invaded his body. Courting death. Ji Yufei desperately executed the primordial soul Dao sword secret technique. However, in an instant, the demonic will was destroyed in his body. The demoness screamed in pain and pushed Ji Yufei away with her palm. "I'll slash." Although Ji Yufei was flying backward, he still put his hands together and slashed at the demoness. A sharp sword light rushed out and instantly landed on the top of the demoness' head. However, at this moment, the blooming demonic flower suddenly closed up. The descending sword light struck the demonic flower and disappeared. "Ayo, how dare you devour my sword light?" Ji Yufei landed on the ground and looked at the closed demonic flower in disbelief. What was this thing? It was even stranger than the infinite demon source in the extreme demon cave. It seemed to be able to devour all the essence chi in the world. Even his sword light was devoured. Jiyu Fei's sword light was no ordinary sword light. His essence qi was extremely condensed and difficult to devour. However, the demonic flower really devoured his sword light. From within the demonic flower came the demonic woman's crazed roar. In the next moment, the demonic flower transformed into a beam of demonic light that shot up into the sky. It actually rushed into the snowstorm outside the valley and disappeared. What the hell is going on? Could it be that the demoness is crazy? Jiyu Fei was speechless when he saw this. However, he knew very well that it had been very dangerous just now. Every move he made had been hovering between life and death. If he had been careless, he would have been devoured by the demoness and the strange demonic flower. Jiyu Fei did not expect the demoness to suddenly leave. It was a pity that his cultivation was suppressed by the power of the culmination snow mountain. Otherwise, he would have been able to capture the demoness. This demoness definitely had a powerful background. Jiyu Fei really did not expect that there would be such a powerful demon in the void realm other than the infinite demon. This demoness was probably even stranger and more terrifying than the infinite demon. The demoness in the demonic flower was definitely a hidden danger. He did not know if he would be able to meet her again. Jiyu Fei returned to the lively place and guarded the Witch Emperor. The snowstorm outside the snow valley was still raging. The sky was dark and the wind was howling. From time to time, there would be avalanches, shaking the earth and sky. It was extremely terrifying. However, inside the snow valley, it was very calm. The body of the centipede demon had already been dragged away by the two snow apes. In fact, there was a core inside the centipede demon's body. The two snow apes dug out the core and wanted to give it to Jiyu Fei, but Jiyu Fei did not care about it at all. However, the demon clan's inner core was a treasure that could help the snow apes increase their cultivation. Normally, the snow apes would not be able to defeat the centipede demon. This time, the snow apes had gotten lucky. There was limited food in the snow valley. At Jiyu Fei's level of cultivation, food was meaningless to him. It did not matter whether he ate or not. However, the snow ape family of 3 wanted to eat. Fortunately, Jiyu Fei could open up his inner world. At this moment, his inner world was like a real macro world. It was incomparably vast and had nurtured countless living creatures. From time to time, Jiyu Fei would throw out 1 or 2 wild horses and cows from his inner world so that the snow ape family would not have to starve. It was really good to have a world with you. You could have anything you wanted. Jiyu Fei's inner world had been constantly refined and had gradually evolved into a real world. And he was the ruler of this new world. Another 10 days passed. On this day, the Witch Emperor's body suddenly exploded with a strong wave of Yuan Qi. Finally succeeded. Chapter 53-54. In an inconspicuous snow valley on the culmination snow mountain, the Witch Emperor had been in seclusion for more than a month. On this day, the lush and vibrant place behind the valley finally emitted an intense wave of elemental energy. Jiyu Fei, who was sitting cross-legged on a huge rock, opened his eyes abruptly. Finally succeeded. Jiyu Fei stood up and disappeared in a flash. At this moment, the snow ape family was also alarmed as they looked towards the back of the snow valley in fear. Jiyu Fei instantly appeared beside the Witch Emperor. Countless spiritual lights appeared around the Witch Emperor. That was spiritual energy visible to the naked eye. At this moment, a huge whirlpool appeared in the sky above the snow valley. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth from all directions converged towards the sky above the snow valley. Then, it descended from the sky and landed on the body of the Witch Emperor. The Witch Emperor was guiding the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, devouring the spiritual energy of heaven and earth frantically. Although the culmination snow mountain lacked vitality, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was denser than any other place in the void realm. Endless spiritual energy of heaven and earth continuously converged towards the Witch Emperor. Countless mysterious Tao patterns emerged and intertwined on the body of the Witch Emperor. These Tao patterns were constantly transforming. The Witch Emperor had finally taken that step. Transcendent Emperor Realm? Jiyu Fei was a little surprised. The cultivation of the Witch Emperor had suddenly broken through to the Transcendent Emperor Realm. This surprised Ji Fei. A powerful aura erupted from the body of the Witch Emperor. The countless spiritual energy of heaven and earth that converged in the sky was instantly devoured by her. The huge vortex of spiritual qi in the sky above the snow valley also disappeared. At the moment when the Shaman Emperor opened her eyes, the spiritual light around her instantly gathered towards the Shaman Emperor and entered her body in an instant. The powerful pressure of the transcendent Emperor realm also retreated like a tide. Interesting. Ji Fei smiled. He waved his hand and the protective array around the Witch Emperor was immediately kept by him. Don't you need to undergo heaven tribulation or something? Ji Fei sized up the Witch Emperor. At this moment, the aura of the Witch Emperor had become even more ethereal. What cultivation technique did the Witch Emperor cultivate? Heaven tribulation? What is that? The Witch Emperor asked. At this moment, Ji Fei recalled that there was no such thing as a heavenly tribulation in the Void Realm. As long as one's cultivation level was high enough, one could break through to a higher realm. Moreover, the world of the Void Realm would not send down heavenly tribulations. This was the natural law of the Void Realm. Nothing. Do you want to continue? Ji Fei smiled. No need. The Shaman Emperor shook her head. As her cultivation rose, she seemed to have become even colder. Ji Fei noticed this, and he couldn't help but be slightly curious. Exactly what cultivation technique is this little girl, the Shaman Emperor, cultivating? Don't you need to consolidate your cultivation? Ji Fei asked. No need. The Witch Emperor said coldly. All right then. Are we going to continue our journey? Ji Fei said indifferently. All right, let's go. The Shaman Emperor directly walked out of the valley. I've set up a formation in this valley. Things from the outside can't come in. You guys can stay here. Ji Fei said to the Snow Ape family who were hiding behind a huge rock at the side. After that, he chased after the Shaman Emperor. During this month, Ji Fei didn't feel very bored in the Snow Valley. Especially the little Snow Ape, which brought him a lot of fun. The little Snow Ape suddenly broke free from its mother's embrace and chased after Ji Fei. All right, you don't have to send me off. The fate between us has come to an end. Let's part ways here. After saying this, Ji Fei quickened his pace and instantly disappeared from the little Snow Ape's sight. The little Snow Ape stood in the snow, not knowing what to do. It was very reluctant. Ji Fei chased after it out of the snow valley. At this moment, the snowstorm outside had already stopped. The weather outside was bright and sunny. It was a rare good weather. Two figures moved quickly in the snow. Ji Fei liked to wear black. In this snow-white world, he was extremely eye-catching. However, the Witch Emperor was dressed in white. She blended in perfectly with the snow around her. Especially when she moved quickly in the snow, it was very difficult to discover her. Wherever Ji Fei and the Witch Emperor passed, they only left very shallow footprints in the thick snow. However, very quickly, they realized that they were actually going in circles on the snow mountain. No matter which direction they went, they would eventually return to the starting point. What's going on? Ji Fei frowned. They stopped in the snow. Everything around them was white. They couldn't see anything else. All they could see was white snow. I've been tricked. Ji Fei sighed and said helplessly. At this moment, if he still didn't know that he had been tricked, he would really be a big idiot. Let's think of a way to get out of here. The Witch Emperor was very calm. How do we solve this situation? Ji Fei asked. Solve it yourself. Do you need a little girl like me to save you? The Witch Emperor blinked and said. Ji Fei was speechless. In the next moment, he released his divine will. His divine will was extremely powerful. In an instant, it enveloped a radius of 100 miles. In the culmination snow mountain, his divine will could only be released for about 100 miles. However, what shocked Ji Fei was that he couldn't sense anything in the area that his divine will covered. Interesting. This is really interesting. Ji Fei was a little angry. There was actually a powerful living being that targeted them and trapped them. Moreover, this living being's cultivation was not shallow. If it was slightly weaker, how could it trap Ji Fei and the Witch Emperor? Sigh, this is really troublesome. Ji Fei sighed. What's the matter? Is there no other way? Do you need a little girl like me to save you? The Witch Emperor suddenly said. However, her face was still as cold as before. When Ji Fei heard this, he was depressed. How could he be looked down upon by this little girl? At the thought of this, in the next moment, 5 illusory figures dashed out from his body in 5 different directions. When the Witch Emperor saw this move from Ji Fei, she couldn't help but be moved. This Ji Fei was quite capable. At this moment, the Witch Emperor could see that Ji Fei's cultivation realm was the same as her, a Supreme Emperor. In the entire Void Realm, there were only a few Supreme Emperors. The so-called invincible Ling Tian Palace Master was a Supreme Emperor. Soon, the 5 illusory figures that dashed out from Ji Fei's body rushed back and entered his body. This way. Ji Fei identified a direction and dashed over. The Witch Emperor quickly chased after him. This is. Ji Fei dashed out for a few hundred miles. During this period, he walked in a straight line and didn't deviate from his direction. After he dashed out for a few hundred miles, a huge valley appeared in front of him. The sky above the valley was shrouded by an extremely powerful demonic aura. In the valley, the demonic aura was even more overwhelming. Chapter 53-55. In the culmination snow mountain, Ji Fei and the Shaman Emperor were trapped in the snow and could not get out. Needless to say, they were trapped by a powerful living being with a great ability. They could not get out of the snow no matter how they walked. Forcing me to use my ultimate move. Ji Fei used the Divine Will Embodiment technique and split into 5 Divine Will embodiments, rushing in 5 different directions. Very quickly, he found a way out. However, after they followed the way out for a few hundred miles, they came to a valley filled with demonic aura. Ji Fei and the rest realized that apart from the demonic aura, there was no snow in the valley. Trying to use us as weapons? Ji Fei immediately understood that the mysterious living being who trapped them had intentionally lured them here. You dare to plot against us? The Shaman Emperor was furious. Your cultivation has just increased greatly, you can practice. Ji Fei smiled at the Shaman Emperor. Practice what? The Shaman Emperor said indifferently. Practice what? Let men like you do the fighting and killing. The Shaman Emperor's tone was still indifferent. Ji Fei was speechless. You really don't want to. I really don't want to. The Shaman Emperor did not want to fight because she had a super fighter by her side. Why should he fight? As for practice, why did he have to do it in such a strange place like the culmination snow mountain? Since we don't want to fight, then let's go. Ji Fei said and turned to leave. He did not want to find trouble. The great demon in the valley was not easy to deal with. Why did he have to fight the great demon in the valley? The Shaman Emperor followed. However, as they walked, they returned to the valley. Preposterous. Ji Fei was really angry. Was the guy in the dark forcing them to fight to the death with the great demon in the valley? What do we do now? The Shaman Emperor frowned and said. What else can we do? The enemy of our enemy is our friend. Since the guy in the dark wants to play, then let's play with this scoundrel. Ji Fei said and strode towards the opposite valley. The Shaman Emperor was a little speechless. However, Ji Fei's words seemed to make a lot of sense. Ji Fei and the Shaman Emperor walked into this valley that was filled with demonic aura. In the valley, there were rocks everywhere, and many skeletons were scattered around the rocks. As they walked in, they did not encounter any monsters. What happened? Ji Fei was a little puzzled. There were no monsters in this valley. How was this possible? The valley was very quiet, which was very unusual. It shouldn't be. Ji Fei released his spiritual force, but he realized that his spiritual force was useless in this place. His spiritual force was only able to extend a distance of a few dozen feet. What was the use of a distance of 100 feet? There was a force in the valley that could suppress spiritual will. In this way, Ji Fei did not dare to be careless. Ji Fei's martial body was very strong, but his cultivation level could not keep up. With just his powerful martial body, he could protect himself. However, he could not protect the Shaman Emperor. Be careful. Ji Fei said to the Witch Emperor. Do I need you to say that? The Witch Emperor said. Just as they walked all the way into the valley and came to the middle of the valley, black shadows suddenly rushed out from the surrounding rocks. These black shadows directly surrounded Ji Fei and the Witch Emperor. Ji Fei couldn't help being startled when he saw the black silhouettes charging out from the surrounding rubble. These black silhouettes were actually large black centipedes. Each of these centipedes was much larger than the centipede demon that had appeared in the snow valley before, and they were also much more ferocious. Ji Fei realized that there were at least a few hundred centipedes in the surroundings. Finally going to make a move? Ji Fei smiled. The surrounding centipedes were like snakes, raising their ferocious and terrifying heads, staring at Ji Fei and the Witch Emperor, but did not immediately pounce towards the two of them. Don't hide. Your enemy led us here, and you naturally know why. Ji Fei's spiritual force spread out. Although his spiritual force could only be released more than 10 times in the valley, it was enough. Humans, all of you deserve to die. Very soon, a spiritual force was transmitted into Ji Fei's mind. What nonsense, the human race deserves to die, but the demon race doesn't. Ji Fei scolded. In the next moment, the few hundred centipedes around Ji Fei and the Witch Emperor pounced towards them. 9 heaven punishing swords. Ji Fei also made a move. 9 rays of sword light swept out in all directions. Wherever the sword light passed, the surrounding big centipedes that pounced were directly cut into 2 at the waist. Wherever the extremely swift and fierce sword light passed, even the surrounding incomparably hard boulders were cut off like tofu. Hundreds of ferocious big centipedes were killed by Ji Fei in seconds. It could not be helped, his sword principle was just so awesome. In terms of sword principle, even the person who created the 9 heaven punishing swords could not be compared to him. Roar. An earth-shattering roar came from the depths of the valley. In the next moment, endless demonic aura erupted from the depths of the valley, instantly enveloping the entire valley. The entire sky darkened in an instant. Is it finally coming out? Ji Fei stood with his hands behind his back, smiling as he looked at the billowing demonic aura in the sky above the valley. You are actually very calm. The Witch Emperor glanced at Ji Fei and said. Aren't you also very calm? Ji Fei smiled. He had the infinite martial physique and was not afraid of anyone, be it demons or demons. This was his confidence, but the Witch Emperor was also so calm. Did the Witch Emperor think that he was invincible after breaking through to the Transcendent Emperor realm? Even he, Ji Fei, did not dare to say that he was invincible. Damn the human race! A powerful spiritual force descended from the sky. Then, a figure appeared in front of Ji Fei and the Witch Emperor, staring at them. I'm going to be angry if you still say that. Ji Fei communicated with the figure in front of him using his spiritual force. The fella in front of him was not a human, but a fox. A fox with 9 tails. The legendary 9-tailed demon emperor. I'm going to kill you. The 9-tailed demon fox emperor glared at Ji Fei fiercely. This fella was the one who had killed all of its centipedes. Is there any meaning in killing here and there? Who is your opponent? Why did you lure us here? Ji Fei stood with his hands behind his back and said calmly. The moment the 9-tailed demon fox emperor heard this, she was stunned. This human seemed to be different from all the other humans she had seen before. Is this the doing of that snow demon again? The 9-tailed demon fox emperor raged. Since you know who your opponent is, why don't we work together to lure that fella out and kill him? Ji Fei suggested. What? The 9-tailed demon fox emperor was taken aback. These 2 humans wanted to kill the snow demon? That was a snow demon. Outside, snow demons were the rulers of this snowy mountain. They could hide within the snow and have countless of clones. Chapter 53-56. There was actually a snow demon on Culmination Snow Mountain. This surprised Ji Fei and the Shaman Emperor. So it was the snow demon's doing. It trapped them and lured them to the 9-tailed fox emperor. Obviously, the snow demon wanted Ji Fei and the Shaman Emperor to fight with the 9-tailed fox emperor. However, how could Ji Fei fall for such a trick? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. He planned to have a chat with the nine-tailed fox emperor and see if he could join forces with it to trick the snow demon. You want to join forces with me to kill the snow demon? The nine-tailed fox emperor was surprised to hear Ji Yufei's intention. That's right. Let's see if you dare. Ji Yufei stood with his hands behind his back and smiled at the nine-tailed fox emperor. This fellow was a ruthless character on Culmination Snow Mountain. It wouldn't be a bad thing to join forces with it, because they lacked someone who knew everything about Culmination Snow Mountain. But you killed my pet. The nine-tailed fox emperor glanced at the centipede corpses on the ground and its eyes turned sharp again. These are your pets? Ji Yufei frowned and said. That's right. Do you have a problem with that? The nine-tailed fox emperor said coldly. No, I just feel that your hobby is a little special. Ji Yufei smiled. What do you mean by that? The nine-tailed fox emperor said angrily. Nothing else. If you want to find a pet, there are many in the outside world. Why don't you walk out of this snow mountain? Ji Yufei said curiously. The outside world? What's out there? I've never left the past. The nine-tailed fox emperor's eyes lit up when it heard that. This nine-tailed fox emperor was actually a native creature of Culmination Snow Mountain. Ever since it awakened its intelligence, it had been staying in the snow mountain and had never left it. Moreover, other than the safety of this valley, the outside of the valley was very dangerous. The nine-tailed fox emperor had once seen living beings more powerful than it perish in body and soul after being struck by lightning falling from the sky. That scene had truly frightened the nine-tailed fox emperor. The higher the cultivation, the more the nine-tailed fox emperor felt that the outside of the valley was incomparably dangerous. Furthermore, there was an annoying snow demon outside. The snow demon had its eyes on the nine-tailed demon fox emperor. The snow demon wanted to devour the nine-tailed demon fox emperor to raise its own cultivation base. Between the living beings of Culmination Snow Mountain, there were only two paths, devouring others or being devoured by others. The nine-tailed demon fox emperor naturally did not want to be devoured by other great demons. If you promise to find me some pets, I'll work with you. The nine-tailed fox emperor said. Seeing the nine-tailed fox emperor agree so readily, Ji Yufei was a little dumbfounded. He had thought that he would have to resort to some tricks to convince the nine-tailed fox emperor. Who would have thought that the nine-tailed fox emperor's request would be so simple? Of course, Snow Yarrow's inner core is mine. The nine-tailed fox emperor said. It's yours, it's yours. It's all yours. We don't want anything else. We just want to get rid of that Snow Yarrow. How about that? Ji Yufei said nonchalantly. You guys really don't want anything? The nine-tailed fox emperor stared at Ji Yufei and said with a serious expression. This daddy here is a man of his word. If I say that I don't want it, then I don't want it. Do you think I'd trick you? Ji Yufei said coldly. Ha ha. That's great. The nine-tailed fox emperor laughed out loud. I want to ask one more thing. Ji Yufei looked at the nine-tailed fox emperor and said with some hesitation. Ask what you want to know. The nine-tailed fox emperor was in a great mood. Then I'll ask. Ji Yufei looked at the nine-tailed fox emperor. What are you blabbering for? Hurry up and ask. The nine-tailed fox emperor was getting impatient. It was already thinking about how to refine the Snow Yarrow's inner core. Are you male or female? Ji Yufei looked at the nine-tailed fox emperor and said with a straight face. What? The moment the nine-tailed fox emperor heard this, she was stunned. Even the witch emperor beside Ji Yufei was taken aback. However, she wanted to know if this nine-tailed fox emperor was male or female as well. If it was female, then it would be a good idea to capture this fella as a pet after killing the snow demon. The nine-tailed fox emperor would never have imagined that these two humans would be thinking about how to capture it as a pet. One had to admit that this nine-tailed fox emperor was a little lacking in intelligence. Looking at how easy it was to deal with this nine-tailed fox emperor, Ji Yufei and the witch emperor started to have some thoughts about this fella. Nine-tailed fox emperor was a legendary supreme demon. In the Void Realm, the fox race was on the decline. It was already hard enough for one to cultivate to 5 or 6 tails, let alone 9. Furthermore, this nine-tailed fox emperor was way too adorable. Its entire body was shrouded in a 9-colored demonic glow, and its 9 furry tails swayed around its body. If one could have a pet like this and bring it out for a spin, that would definitely be the highlight. What male? What female? UB** starred. The 9-tailed fox emperor turned around and dashed into the back of the valley. Jiu Fei and the witch emperor looked at the 9-tailed fox emperor fleeing into the depths of the valley and couldn't help but be shocked. What was going on? So it's a female. The witch emperor said calmly. Female? How did you know? Jiu Fei asked curiously. Even he couldn't tell if this 9-tailed fox emperor was male or female. How could the witch emperor tell? Are you dumb? Can't you see that this fella is shy? The witch emperor looked at Jiu Fei and said impatiently. Jiu Fei was speechless. In the end, girls were still more meticulous. As a man, he didn't notice this at all. He had to admit that girls did have an advantage in certain aspects. However, this witch emperor had roamed the void realm for thousands of years. It couldn't be described as a girl anymore. This fella was a real old demon hag. Of course, Jiu Fei didn't dare to say this out loud. If he did, wouldn't this witch emperor fight him to the death? Just as Jiu Fei and the witch emperor entered the valley, a snow-white figure appeared on a snowy land outside the valley. This figure seemed to have become one with the surrounding snowy land. No one could sense her existence. What's going on? They didn't fight. This was a beautiful woman who was even colder than the witch emperor. The place where she stood was covered with a thick layer of ice. She was extremely curious. In the past, when those fellows entered the valley, they would fight with the fox in the valley. Those humans in the past weren't a match for the fox. And in the recent hundreds of years, she hadn't been able to lure the human experts into the valley. Especially when the 5 great living beings joined forces to barge into the mountain previously. Not only did they break her divine ability, they almost injured her. Naturally, it was hard for her to lure the 5 great living beings into the valley. Chapter 53-57. The Valley of the 9-tailed Demon Fox Emperor was actually a completely different world. At the end of the valley, there was actually a pool that was neither too big nor too small, and above the pool, there was actually a waterfall. Seeing this scene, Jiu Fei and the Shaman Emperor were a little dumbfounded. Under the bitter cold of the culmination snow mountain, there was actually a waterfall and a pool in this valley. This was simply a miraculous sight. In the culmination snow mountain, this scene was definitely a miraculous sight. Moreover, for such a miraculous sight to appear, it meant that there was something extraordinary here. Otherwise, how could there be a waterfall and a pool? Jiu Fei and the Shaman Emperor came to the side of the pool, but did not see the 9-tailed Demon Fox Emperor. Where did this fellow hide? Come in. The 9-tailed Demon Fox Emperor's divine will actually came from behind the waterfall. So that's how it is. Jiu Fei and the Shaman Emperor were a little surprised. So there was actually a cave behind the waterfall. Although ladies first, I'll go first. Seeing that the Shaman Emperor was about to leap into the cave behind the waterfall, Jiu Fei stretched out his hand to stop her. Who knew what was in the cave behind the waterfall? What if it was a trap set by the 9-tailed Demon Fox Emperor? Jiu Fei possessed the infinite martial physique. Even if a true infinite martial physique wanted to kill him, it would not be that easy. Moreover, the 9-tailed Demon Fox Emperor only had the cultivation of the transcendent Emperor realm. Hence, even if there was a trap in the cave behind the waterfall, Jiu Fei was not afraid. But the Shaman Emperor was different. She did not have a tyrannical martial physique like Jiu Fei. The Shaman Emperor stopped. Her entire person gave off a cold feeling. However, it was unknown whether it was because she had refined the drop of infinite true blood from Jiu Fei, but she seemed to treat Jiu Fei a little differently. Jiu Fei directly leaped and instantly passed through the waterfall, then landed on a platform behind the waterfall. Jiu Fei took a look and saw that there was a huge door in front of him. At this time, the door was wide open, and there were 4 words written on the door. 4 words that Jiu Fei didn't recognize. However, when Jiu Fei scanned the 4 ancient words with his spiritual force, a faintly discernible spiritual force emerged from the 4 ancient words. Small void paradise. Jiu Fei frowned. What the hell was this? At this moment, the shaman emperor entered as well. There's actually a grotto heaven here? The shaman emperor was also very shocked. A heavenly abode was a small world created by a supreme existence. This was a truly unique heavenly abode. In the void realm, because the natural laws were very strong, it was not easy to create a heavenly abode. In the void realm, only those at the emperor realm and above could create their own paradise. However, an emperor realm paradise wasn't too stable. It required constant reinforcement to prevent it from collapsing. This paradise definitely wasn't created by the Fox Emperor. That was because the entrance to this paradise was not new. The entrance gate was filled with traces of time. This was an incomparably ancient thing. This was something that couldn't be faked. Come in. The nine-tailed Fox Emperor's spiritual force transmitted from the gate. Are we going in or not? Ji Fei replied with his spiritual force. Of course. Why not? Are you afraid? The shaman emperor glanced at Ji Fei and said. What? I'm afraid. There's nothing in this world that I'm afraid of. Ji Fei said as he strode towards the gate and entered without hesitation. They were communicating through spiritual force, so the nine-tailed Fox Emperor didn't know what they were talking about. The Fox clan had always been known for their cunning. This nine-tailed Fox Emperor was definitely the strongest existence in the Fox clan. It was a fellow at the level of an ancestor. Could it be that this fellow was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Ji Fei was really worried about this. He directly entered this small void paradise. A gust of spiritual qi rushed towards him, and then his eyes lit up. He saw a blue sky and white clouds, and a refreshing scent filled his surroundings. A heaven and earth. Ji Fei couldn't help but be surprised that there was such a heaven and earth in the culmination snow mountain. It was really surprising. One must know that the culmination snow mountain was a forbidden area. Countless powerful beings in the void realm didn't dare to step into this place. And in the culmination snow mountain, there were local powerful beings. Although there were only a few of them, each of them was extremely powerful. Even an emperor would find it hard to protect themselves here. This nine-tailed Fox Emperor was a transcendent emperor. As for the snow demon outside, it was also at the half-step transcendent emperor realm. This snow demon had encountered the barbarian emperor and the other 4 monarchs earlier. The reason why it was chased away by the 5 monarchs was because the 5 monarchs had powerful Dao artifacts. If the barbarian emperor and the other 4 emperors didn't have powerful Dao treasures, they would have been killed by the snow demon. The snow demon didn't dare to attack the nine-tailed Fox Emperor's territory because the nine-tailed Fox Emperor was a transcendent emperor. The snow demon didn't dare to step into the valley where the nine-tailed Fox Emperor was. Because once she entered, she wouldn't be able to come out. It really is a heaven and earth. At this moment, the Witch Emperor entered as well. Hihi, aren't you guys afraid that I'll set up a trap here and kill you guys? The nine-tailed Fox Emperor's spiritual will came down from the skies. Ji Fei raised his head and looked up. To his surprise, there was a floating palace high up in the skies. It was a black palace that was pitch black in color. It was extremely striking in the skies. When did it appear? Ji Fei was taken aback. When he looked up, there wasn't any black palace in the skies at all. At this moment, Ji Fei realized that his spiritual will was no longer being suppressed. With a single thought, the entire heaven and earth changed colors, and the sun and moon lost their radiance. The nine-tailed Fox Emperor's spiritual will came down from the Black Palace. It was extremely shocked. To think that the spiritual will of this human was so strong that it could affect the entire heaven and earth. This isn't good. The nine-tailed Fox Emperor was starting to regret luring these 2 humans into this heaven and earth. Little Fox, why aren't you coming out to welcome your master? The moment Ji Fei's spiritual will was no longer being suppressed, he turned tough immediately. What did you say? The nine-tailed Fox Emperor within the Black Palace was enraged. This damned human was up to no good indeed. To think that he would want to be its master. Your daddy here shall rip him into shreds right now. The nine-tailed Fox Emperor was a vicious character as well. The moment her killing intent rose, a chilling killing intent burst forth from within the Black Palace, causing the temperature of the entire heaven and earth to plunge. This little fox is mine. You can't snatch it from me. The tone of the Witch Emperor was as cold as ever. This time around, ladies first. Please. Ji Yu Fei made a welcoming gesture towards the Witch Emperor. This time around, he wasn't going to fight with the Witch Emperor. However, if he wanted to subdue this little fox, the Witch Emperor would have to do it personally. He wasn't going to help the Witch Emperor. He was waiting for the Witch Emperor to fail to subdue this little fox so that he could take advantage of it. How could the Witch Emperor not know what Ji Yu Fei was trying to do? However, she wasn't going to give Ji Yu Fei another chance to strike. She was going to use this little fox as a practice target. Chapter 53-58. The minor void grotto heaven was a strange place. Ji Yu Fei's cultivation was not suppressed here. In other words, his cultivation had recovered after he entered the minor void grotto heaven. Ji Yu Fei's cultivation had disappeared when he accidentally entered the void realm because he was suppressed by the laws of heaven and earth in the void realm. If he wanted to recover his cultivation in the void realm, he would have to recultivate in the void realm. Of course, even though he had to recultivate, his cultivation speed was extremely fast. In a short period of time, his cultivation had recovered to the eternal realm, which was the supreme emperor realm in the void realm. The laws of heaven and earth in the void realm were extremely powerful. The god realm cultivators in the void realm were equivalent to the supreme experts in the human realm. Therefore, if the god realm cultivators from the void realm entered the human realm, they would be at the supreme expert level and could compete with the supreme experts. But now, after Ji Yu Fei entered this utopia, the laws of heaven and earth in the void realm disappeared. Therefore, his strength was constantly awakening. Sigh, little fox, you are destined to be a pet this time. Ji Yu Fei could feel the recovery of his cultivation. The corners of his lips curled up and a devilish smile appeared on his face. With just a thought, Ji Yu Fei's divine will enveloped the entire minor void utopia. He could feel the pulse of heaven and earth. That is, Ji Yu Fei was shocked to find that the center of the utopia was the black hole in the sky. In other words, controlling the black hole would mean becoming the owner of this utopia. There must be something to stabilize the utopia. It could be the black hole in the sky, a stone tablet, or any kind of seal, copper seal, or golden seal. The object used to suppress the grotto heaven could be anything. The person who created the grotto heaven could use whatever he liked to suppress the grotto heaven. This was a very casual matter. The black hole in the sky was the stabilizing object of this utopia. No wonder the nine-tailed fox emperor was hiding in the black hole. At this moment, the witch emperor's white robe fluttered as he appeared in the sky. Then, endless divine light lit up the sky. The powerful supreme emperor realm energy erupted from the witch emperor's body. Rumble, the entire utopia shook. Human, you're courting death. The nine-tailed fox emperor's divine consciousness spread out from the black hole. In the next moment, countless ancient Tao patterns appeared on the black hole. Every Tao pattern gave off a dazzling divine light. Those Tao patterns turned into countless sharp blades that slashed towards the witch emperor. The shaman emperor waved her sleeves, and the countless light blades that were slashing towards her were all shattered in the void. After that, she clenched her right hand into a fist and directly punched towards the Black Temple. So fierce. Ji Yu Fei shot up into the sky. He brought out a table and a chair, and then plucked some immortal fruits from his inner world. He even took out some immortal wine. He was actually drinking and eating immortal fruits, watching the show. Recently, he did not feel like eating meat. There were countless delicious immortal fruits in his inner world. When the shaman emperor, who was fighting with the nine-tailed demon fox emperor, saw how leisurely Ji Yu Fei was, he couldn't help but be speechless. The nine-tailed demon fox emperor controlled the killing formation on the black hole. A terrifying killing intent exploded from the black hole, and all the living beings in the utopia were terrified to the extreme. Nothing major had happened in this utopia. All the living beings here knew that the owner of this utopia was the nine-tailed demon fox emperor. The nine-tailed demon fox emperor had even built her own kingdom here. She was the empress of this kingdom. At this moment, Ji Yu Fei suddenly felt three powerful auras rushing out from the depths of the utopia. Roar. In the sky, a tiger that was even larger than a mountain was roaring. On the other side, there was a huge snake coiled in the clouds like a giant dragon. A pair of blood-red eyes flickered in the clouds. In the other direction, there was a person. That's right, this person was still wrapped in chains. He was tall, had a head of messy hair, and a full beard. His entire body exuded an incomparably wild aura. What's going on? Ji Fei frowned. These three fellows were all Emperor Realm existences. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to withstand the powerful aura erupting from the Shaman Emperor and the nine-tailed demon Fox Emperor. Who would have thought that there were three Emperor Realm experts hiding in this place? Save me. At this moment, a divine consciousness was transmitted to Ji Fei. A voice rang in his mind. Ji Fei turned his head in the direction of the divine consciousness. He saw a pair of eager eyes staring at him. That divine consciousness came from that incomparably wild fellow. Save you? How? Ji Fei also sent a strand of his spiritual will over. Could this fellow have been captured by the nine-tailed demon Fox Emperor? The savage fellow's hands were wrapped in chains, and his body was draped in beast skin. He looked like he had walked out of a primitive tribe. I have a restrictive spell cast by that demon fox. If you can help me remove it, you will be my master. The fellow continued to transmit his voice to Ji Fei. You're called Man Kuang. Are you from the southern barbarians? Do you know the barbarian emperor? Ji Fei asked. Barbarian emperor? What barbarian emperor? I'm the barbarian emperor. Man Kuang said. Hehe, if you're the barbarian emperor, then who's the guy I killed? Ji Fei smiled. What? You killed the barbarian emperor? Man Kuang couldn't help but be shocked. I've been trapped here for at least 20,000 years. Did another barbarian emperor appear in the southern barbarians? Man Kuang muttered to himself. The one fighting with that little fox is the Shaman Emperor. Do you know him? Ji Fei said. What? Man Kuang was shocked to hear this. How is this possible? How could the Shaman Emperor appear here? Man Kuang said in shock. Lord Shaman Emperor, is that you? Man Kuang said loudly. Who are you? The Shaman Emperor transmitted his divine consciousness. At this moment, the Barbarian Emperor displayed his great divine ability and fought the nine-tailed demon fox who controlled the Black Temple. Lord Shaman Emperor, I'm Xiao Man, the one you saved from the beast lair. Man Kuang said excitedly. You're that little guy. The Shaman Emperor was very surprised. That was tens of thousands of years ago, but she still clearly remembered the little guy called Man Kuang. This little guy stayed in the beast lair for 3 days and 3 nights and miraculously survived. Man Kuang later became the emperor of the southern barbarians and managed the entire southern barbarians for the Shaman Emperor. However, one day, Man Kuang disappeared. The Shaman Emperor once went to look for him but naturally couldn't find him. Who would have thought that Man Kuang would come to the culmination snow mountain and then be captured by the nine-tailed demon Fox Emperor and trapped in this grotto heaven? Which emperor? I didn't expect to meet an old friend here. Ji Fei said with a smile. As soon as Ji Fei said this, Man Kuang glared at him. All right, I'll save you. Chapter 53-59. In the history of Nanman, Man Kuang was a powerful and overbearing barbarian emperor. Although he managed Nanman on behalf of the Shaman Emperor, he was not close to the sorcerer tribe. This was something that no one would have expected. Therefore, even among the sorcerer tribe, there were many who disliked him. Man Kuang had also offended many of them. However, he was an emperor. At that time, only the Shaman Emperor could suppress him, and he had never dared to disrespect the Shaman Emperor. When Man Kuang disappeared, many people in the sorcerer tribe were gloating. Man Kuang's disappearance had shocked the entire Nanman, and even the entire Void Realm. Now, the mystery of Man Kuang's disappearance had finally been revealed. He had been captured by the nine-tailed Fox Emperor on Culmination Snow Mountain and became its prisoner. Man Kuang had definitely suffered a lot at the hands of the nine-tailed Fox Emperor. In this grotto heaven, Ji Fei's cultivation had recovered. With a wave of his hand, the restrictive spell on Man Kuang was forcibly erased. Roar. Man Kuang felt the surging power in his body. He couldn't help but roar at the sky. Terrifying sound waves spread out in all directions, causing the void to tremble. Visible spatial ripples spread out into the distance like transparent water waves. Is that guy crazy? Sitting cross-legged in the clouds, the giant serpent and the tiger that was even larger than a mountain were startled. Thank you for saving us, master. Man Kuang did what he said and immediately recognized him as his master. You're welcome. Ji Yufei said with a smile. Did he poach the Shaman Emperor's disciple this time? Master, I have some personal grudges to settle. Please allow me. Man Kuang glanced in the direction of the giant serpent and the tiger. Go, go. Ji Yufei didn't care much. Man Kuang's cultivation had been sealed by the nine-tailed fox emperor, making him the weakest among the three emperors. Therefore, Man Kuang had been tortured by the two demon emperors. Now that Ji Yufei had helped him remove the seal, his cultivation had soared to the peak of the emperor realm. At this time, he naturally wanted to take revenge. Swoosh! Barbarian Kuang charged towards the giant serpent in the clouds. Man Kuang, your guts have grown bigger. The giant snake wasn't easy to bully. When it saw Man Kuang rushing over, it raised its head and spat out a mouthful of black gas. This black gas was different. It was the life poison that this giant snake had cultivated for its entire life. It was definitely the most poisonous thing in the world. Even a wisp of this poisonous gas could easily kill a martial monarch. Even Man Kuang would die if he was hit by the snake's poisonous gas. However, Man Kuang opened his mouth, inhaled, and then exhaled. Suddenly, an extremely strong gust of wind appeared high up in the sky, and the black gas that was spewing towards Man Kuang was directly blown back towards the giant serpent. What? The giant snake was taken aback. It hurriedly opened its mouth and sucked the poisonous gas back into its body. This was the snake's life poison. This poisonous gas was completely under the snake's control. All of it was sucked back into its body. Die. Man Kuang was incomparably domineering. He directly punched towards the giant snake. Man Kuang, are you rebelling? The giant snake was shocked and angry. The clouds it was hiding in were blown away by Man Kuang's breath, revealing its mountain-like body. I'm rebelling, so what? Man Kuang roared. The giant snake swung its tail, sweeping towards Man Kuang. Boom. Man Kuang's punch landed on the giant snake's tail. In the next moment, blood splattered, and a bloody hole appeared in the snake's tail. I suddenly feel like eating snake stew. Man Kuang grinned at the giant snake. The giant snake retreated, instantly distancing itself from Man Kuang. However, Man Kuang's speed and strength had skyrocketed to a level that made the giant snake's heart palpitate. The current Man Kuang was no longer someone they could casually bully. Man Kuang chased after the snake like a shadow. Tiger King, you're still in the mood to watch the show? The giant snake roared at the ferocious tiger in the distant sky. Roar. The ferocious tiger roared, and in the next moment, it directly pounced towards Man Kuang, its claws directly tearing at Man Kuang. The Tiger King's sharp claws emitted an incomparably sharp cold light. If Man Kuang was caught, he would probably be torn to pieces. Man Kuang raised his hand and punched upwards. Buzz. The void shook, and the Tiger King's claws were directly sent flying. An incomparably powerful fist force erupted, as if the sky was blasted open by his fist. What? The Tiger King was shocked. How did this guy suddenly become so strong? The Tiger King and the giant snake had always bullied Man Kuang. If Man Kuang dared to resist, he would be even more miserable. This guy who was usually bullied suddenly became so strong. This was something that the Tiger King and Snake King couldn't accept. Ha ha! Flying tiger, mysterious snake, didn't you guys always bully me? Now let's exchange, how about I bully you guys too? Man Kuang laughed wildly and attacked. This guy, seeing this scene, Ji Yufei's eyes lit up. This Man Kuang was very domineering. Man Kuang fought against the Flying Tiger King and Mysterious Snake King alone. On the other side, the battle between the Witch King and the Nine-Tailed Fox King had also reached its climax. At this moment, the Witch King was extremely powerful. Her sleeves fluttered, and countless sword lights condensed in the void, slashing towards the black hall. The sword lights slashed on the black hall, and the clanging sounds were endless. The Nine-Tailed Fox King hid in the black hall, and actually refused to come out. This made the Witch King somewhat unable to deal with this guy. The black hall was an incomparably sturdy tortoise shell. With the Witch King's cultivation, it was impossible to break through the black hall. Outrageous. Come out and fight if you have the guts. Even the Witch King was a little scared after attacking for a long time without success. TSK, try attacking if you have the guts. The nine-tailed Fox King sneered. Damn it. The Witch King's sword was like water, penetrating through all openings. However, when it came into contact with the black hall, the defense of the black hall was simply flawless. Moreover, the entire black hall was an incomparably huge Tao artifact. Moreover, this Tao artifact seemed to be in a deep slumber, and the power of the black hall had yet to truly awaken. The Witch King could sense that there was a shocking power hidden within the black hall. Once this power exploded, it would definitely be terrifying enough to destroy the world. This was also what the Witch King was worried about. She still had to be wary of the power that had yet to awaken in the black hall. Can you do it? If you can't, let me do it. Jiyu Fei smiled. Get lost. Chapter 5360. The nine-tailed fox emperor was really cunning. She hid in the black hall and did not come out. No matter how the shaman emperor attacked from the outside, she only controlled the killing formation to defend. However, the nine-tailed fox emperor could not control the black hall completely. The power that she could draw from the black hall was probably not even a 10,000th of the black hall's true power. If the nine-tailed fox emperor could control the black hall completely, the shaman emperor would probably be dead the moment she attacked. Why would she be trapped in the black hall? Actually, the nine-tailed fox emperor's cultivation and battle prowess were above the shaman emperor's. However, she had a feeling that if she left the black hall, she would be in danger. She knew very well that the danger did not come from the shaman emperor, but from that human man. That human man was the source of the nine-tailed fox emperor's unease. Ever since the human man entered her grotto heaven, he seemed to have become a different person. Actually, Jiyu Fei had concealed his aura. He did not release the aura of an infinite prime. However, the divine will that he gave off made the nine-tailed fox emperor's heart palpitate. Jiyu Fei guessed that this grotto heaven must have been opened by an infinite prime. Otherwise, his cultivation would not have recovered here. The laws of the void realm could not enter this grotto heaven. Without the suppression of the laws of the void realm, not only did Jiyu Fei's cultivation completely recover, it even seemed to have increased. This was something that he had not expected. As long as he attacked, the nine-tailed fox emperor would not be able to escape. Even this black hall was nothing in Jiyu Fei's eyes. It was just an infinite prime Tao artifact. Of course, this Tao artifact was very powerful. With his current cultivation, he could not refine a Tao artifact like this. In other words, the existence who had refined this black hall was at least an infinite prime Tao artifact. At this moment, the shaman emperor attacked with all his might. The spiritual energy in the surroundings began to boil. Powerful sword chi spread out in all directions. Even Jiyu Fei did not expect the shaman emperor's way of the sword to be so powerful. Countless beams of sword light shot out from the shaman emperor's body, and then they slashed onto the Black Palace. Every single beam of sword light was like a peerless heavenly sword, and they exploded with an astonishing might. However, the extremely sharp sword light shattered when it struck the black hall, turning into countless spiritual lights that dissipated in the void. On the other hand, there was not a single mark left on the place where the shaman emperor's sword light had struck. At this moment, the nine-tailed demon fox emperor did not make a move at all, allowing the shaman emperor to do whatever he wanted. She was sitting comfortably on a chair in the Black Palace, eating the fresh immortal fruits that the maidservant brought over. Through the profound light mirror, she looked at the shaman emperor outside. You overestimate yourself. The nine-tailed fox emperor's divine sense spread out from the Black Temple. The shaman emperor was both shocked and enraged. This Black Palace was simply even more tortoiseshell than a tortoiseshell. No matter how fiercely she attacked it, she wasn't even able to leave behind a single mark on the Black Palace. Preposterous. The shaman emperor came to a stop helplessly. There was nothing she could do about it. She had truly underestimated this nine-tailed demon fox emperor. Make your move. The shaman emperor's figure flashed, and she directly appeared by Ji Yufei's side. Ji Yufei waved his right hand, and a chair instantly appeared by his side. The shaman emperor directly sat down. Retreating in the face of difficulties? Ji Yufei smiled. If you're that capable, then go ahead and do it. The shaman emperor said angrily. If I do it, then this fox will be mine. Ji Yufei said. I know. If you're able to subdue this little fox, then this little fox will be your pet, all right? The shaman emperor rolled her eyes at Ji Yufei. All right. As he spoke, Ji Yufei stood up, and then he took a step forward and instantly vanished on the spot. In the next moment, he appeared before the black dot. So what if you attack? Could it be that you can break through my black palace? The nine-tailed fox emperor laughed coldly. Won't you know once you try? As Ji Yufei spoke, he raised his fist. An extremely powerful and overbearing might immediately erupted from his body. He threw a punch. The punch didn't seem to contain much power, as if it was a casual punch. However, the nine-tailed fox emperor, who was hiding in the black palace, sensed a dangerous aura that made even her heart palpitate. The nine-tailed fox emperor did not dare to be careless, and she immediately activated the strongest defensive formation of the black palace. Buzz! The void trembled, and a layer of divine light immediately surged from the black palace, enveloping the entire black palace. Bam! Ji Yufei's punch directly hit the layer of divine light on the black palace. In the next moment, the nine-tailed fox emperor was dumbfounded. She saw that Ji Yufei's punch directly penetrated the layer of divine light on the outside of the black palace, as if it was a thin piece of paper. Then, the hole that Ji Yufei punched in the light screen kept getting bigger. He took a step forward and landed outside the gate of the black palace. What? The nine-tailed fox emperor in the black palace was shocked to see this scene. This human could actually break through the defensive divine light of the black palace and arrive outside the gate. At this moment, the gate of the black palace was tightly shut. Two figures stood on both sides of the gate. They were two stone men. Normally, there would be stone lions on both sides of the gate. However, there were two stone men standing on both sides of the gate. These two stone men were actually holding sabers in their hands. Moreover, Ji Yufei discovered that the sabers in the stone men's hands were genuine Eternal Realm Dao weapons. In other words, they were Supreme Emperor Realm Dao weapons in the Void Realm. The weapons in the hands of the stone men guarding the gate were genuine Eternal Realm Dao weapons. This was really a big deal. Moreover, the stone men were actually equipped with genuine Dao weapons. It seemed that they were not simple. As expected, the moment Ji Yufei stepped on the steps, a blue light shot out from the eyes of the stone men on both sides of the gate. In the next moment, the two stone men actually moved. Interesting. The corners of Ji Yufei's mouth curled up, revealing a devilish smile. The two stone men actually walked down from their pedestals and moved towards Ji Yufei. Swish! One of the stone men arrived in front of Ji Yufei and slashed down with his saber. The momentum of the saber was incomparably heavy. Ji Yufei smiled bitterly and shook his head. Then, he stretched out his right hand and grabbed the saber that was slashing down on his head. Then, he exerted some force and snatched the saber away. Not bad. Ji Yufei looked at the saber in his hand and nodded. This was a standard saber, a saber that was made in batches. There was actually someone who could make eternal rank sabers in batches. This was truly amazing. The master of the Black Palace was a little abnormally strong. Ji Yufei could not imagine what it would be like for countless people to have an Eternal Realm saber in their hands. This was an Eternal Realm saber, not an ordinary magic weapon that could be easily grabbed. At this time, the stone man whose saber Ji Yufei had snatched had already punched Ji Yufei's face. How dare you hit my handsome face? Chapter 5361. On the heavenly snow mountain in the Void Realm, the nine-tailed demon fox emperor's abode was boiling with the spirit energy of heaven and earth. Countless living beings in the abode were terrified. Man Kuang, the mysterious snake emperor, and the flying tiger emperor were fighting crazily high up in the sky. The spirit energy of heaven and earth in the abode was disrupted. The pressure of the emperors spread out in all directions. Those with lower cultivation were scared out of their wits. Even those with higher cultivation were trembling under the pressure of the emperors. Ji Yufei, on the other hand, was unperturbed. At this moment, Ji Yufei had already broken the defensive shield of the Black Palace with a punch and arrived at the gate of the Black Palace. Just as he stepped onto the steps in front of the gate, the two stone statues guarding the gate suddenly moved and charged towards Ji Yufei. In Ji Yufei's eyes, the two stone statues were no different from ants. He reached out with his right hand and grabbed the saber that one of the stone statues was swinging at him. He even snatched the saber away. At this moment, the stone man whose saber was snatched by Ji Yufei smashed his fist towards Ji Yufei's face. Ji Yufei naturally wouldn't allow the golem's fist to touch his handsome face. Before the golem's fist could hit him, Ji Yufei had already sent the golem flying with a kick. The giant stone statue smashed into the Black Temple's entrance. Boom! The stone statue that Ji Yufei had kicked smashed into the Black Temple's entrance with a loud bang. The door shook violently, but it didn't break open. The other stone statue was already charging at him. Swoosh! The stone statue also swung its saber at Ji Yufei. It was a simple and direct attack. This kind of simple and direct attack was often the most terrifying. The stone statue's attack was so powerful that an ordinary Emperor Realm expert wouldn't dare to take it head-on. However, Ji Yufei casually grabbed the blade of the stone statue's saber with his left hand. An eternal Dao artifact could not harm Ji Yufei at all. As Ji Yufei's left hand grabbed the stone man's saber, his right hand raised the saber and slashed at the stone man's waist. With a flash of the saber light, the upper body of the stone man fell off. What? When the nine-tailed fox emperor saw this, she jumped up in shock. This guy actually killed a stone man with a single slash. This kind of stone man guarding the gate was extremely powerful. Even if a transcendent Emperor Realm weapon slashed at these stone men, it would only leave a very faint mark. The nine-tailed fox emperor was the current master of the Black Temple. No one knew better than her how powerful these stone golems were. These stone golems were existences that could compete with supreme Emperor Realm experts of the human race. How could they be killed by this guy with a single slash? The stone man who had been cut in half by Ji Yufei fell to the ground. A powerful force quickly disappeared from the stone man's body and entered the Black Hall. Huh! When Ji Yufei sensed all of this, he could not help but frown. The eternal realm power within the stone man had actually been devoured by the Black Hall. Then, countless cracks appeared on the stone man that had been cut in half. Very soon, it collapsed and turned into a pile of rubble. At that moment, the stone man that had been kicked away by Ji Yufei stood up from the ground again. Then, it fiercely pounced at Ji Yufei. The stone man was not damaged at all. Humph! Ji Yufei sneered. Then, he unhurriedly stabbed the two sabers in his hands into the ground. Then, he threw a punch at the stone man that was charging at him. Buzz! The void trembled and a powerful fist force surged towards the stone man. The fist force that Ji Yufei had unleashed instantly enveloped the stone man. Then, a scene that left the nine-tailed fox emperor dumbfounded appeared in front of her. The stone man, enveloped by Ji Yufei's fist force, actually crumbled into dust and dissipated into the void. Preposterous! In the Black Hall, the nine-tailed fox emperor was extremely shocked and furious. Step by step, Ji Yufei arrived in front of the tightly shut door of the Black Hall and stood still. Are you going to come out obediently, or do I have to go in? Ji Yufei looked up at the sky and said indifferently. The nine-tailed fox emperor was furious, but she could not do anything to Ji Yufei. Not going to speak? Then I'll go in. Without waiting for the nine-tailed fox emperor to speak, Ji Yufei directly punched the tightly shut door of the Black Hall. Trying to break in? Dream on. The nine-tailed fox emperor sneered. However, in the next moment, she was ruthlessly slapped in the face by Ji Yufei. This was because when Ji Yufei's punch landed on the door of the Black Hall, a hole appeared on the door from Ji Yufei's punch. The nine-tailed fox emperor was truly speechless right now. To think that this human would be strong enough to punch through the tightly shut door of the Black Hall. Suddenly, a loud thud rang out as Ji Yufei punched the door again and again. The hole on the door was getting bigger and bigger. Your daddy here doesn't even need to open the door. I'll just make a hole in the door. Before long, the small hole turned into a gigantic hole. If you dare to come in, I'll make sure that you won't be able to leave this place alive. The nine-tailed fox emperor roared at Ji Yufei with a stern look on her face. TSK. Ji Yufei raised his middle finger towards the depths of the black hall and walked in through the huge hole on the door. However, the moment he entered the black hall, he was shocked by what he saw. Behind the door of the black hall stood a series of figures. These figures were like phantoms as they stood silently behind the door. Not only that, there was not a single bit of consciousness coming from these fellas. Haha. Now you know how powerful I am, right? Go. Kill him. The nine-tailed fox emperor burst out laughing. No one had expected the nine-tailed fox emperor to have such a move up his sleeves. Suddenly, the puppets that were standing there silently began to move as they surrounded Ji Yufei. Looking at this, Ji Yufei could not help but frown. His consciousness shrouded the entire black hall instantly. To think that there would be a total of 99 of these puppets. Not only that, every single one of them possessed the power of a transcendent emperor within their bodies. This was practically a total of 99 transcendent emperors. This was a terrifying amount of power. One had to know that a transcendent emperor was a legendary existence within the void world. To think that there would be 99 transcendent emperors right here. Even someone like Ji Yufei, who was used to all sorts of situations, was stunned for a moment. One had to know that there weren't that many transcendent emperors in the entire void world. If this amount of power were to leave this paradise and head out into the outside world, it would definitely be able to sweep through the entire void world. You wanna gang up on me? Bring it on. Ji Yufei was still as domineering as ever. A tremendous battle intent burst forth from his body. Chapter 5362. Behind the gates of the Black Hall was a gigantic public square. When Ji Yufei walked in, he was met with a scene that had him stumped. There were countless puppets standing behind the gates. These puppets were as lifelike as real humans. The only difference was that these puppets did not have the life force that a human should have. What a huge investment. Ji Yufei was equally astounded. To think that there would be 99 puppets here. Furthermore, all of these puppets possessed an eternal state power within them. This was an eternal level puppet. The existence who had constructed this black hall must have been incredibly powerful. To think that he would be able to create 99 eternal state puppet. One had to know that the eternal state was the legendary transcending emperor state in the void realm. Within the void realm, the number of transcending emperor state beings could be counted on one's fingers. At this time, the 99 puppets were already closing in on Ji Yufei. You're dead meat this time around. The nine-tailed demon fox emperor's gleeful voice rang out in Ji Yufei's mind. This was her trump card. In the void realm, no one could fight against 99 puppets at the transcendent emperor realm alone. Not even the nine-tailed demon fox emperor herself could do so. That was because the nine-tailed demon fox emperor had tried exchanging blows with these 99 puppets before. However, within 10 moves, she was beaten down to the ground, unable to climb back up. The nine-tailed demon fox emperor did not think that this human would be able to defeat her 99 puppets. You seem to be pretty confident. Ji Yufei swept a glance at the puppets around him. The corners of his lips curled upwards, revealing a devilish smile. Haha. To think that you're still so calm even now. That's really out of my expectations. The nine-tailed demon fox emperor burst out laughing. You don't have to take out these pieces of trash to show off. Ji Yufei replied nonchalantly. Did you just say that my puppets are trash? The nine-tailed demon fox emperor howled out. To think that this human would dare to belittle her puppets even at the brink of death. Damn it. If they're not trash, what are they? Trying to kill me with these pieces of trash. What a joke. Ji Yufei replied in disdain. Preposterous. Go to hell. The nine-tailed demon fox emperor was truly infuriated by Ji Yufei. She immediately ordered the 99 puppets to attack. The next moment, the 99 puppets attacked Ji Yufei at the same time. Some of these puppets leaped into the air and attacked Ji Yufei from above, while others directly charged at Ji Yufei from the ground. In an instant, an extremely terrifying energy storm erupted on the square in front of the Black Temple. At this time, Ji Yufei was in the eye of the storm. Ha ha, Ji Yufei suddenly burst into laughter. You can still smile when you're about to die. The nine-tailed fox emperor's expression was terrifyingly dark. At this time, she was sitting on the throne in the hall. Through the door of the hall, she could see everything outside. I'll show you what I, your master, am capable of. With that, Ji Yufei clasped his hands together and pulled them apart. In the next moment, countless palm shadows burst forth from his body and slapped out in all directions. Then, countless collisions rang out. All of the puppets that were charging at Ji Yufei were sent flying by the palm shadows. What? The nine-tailed fox emperor was dumbfounded at the sight of this. Her mouth was so wide open that one could stuff a duck's egg into it. How could this be? It was just a single move. That human had sent all of the puppets flying with a single move. If she hadn't witnessed it with her own eyes, the nine-tailed fox emperor wouldn't have believed it at all. Those were 99 transcendent emperor state puppet. To think that they would be sent flying by a single move from this human. However, it was a pity that these 99 puppets couldn't leave the Black Temple. Otherwise, the nine-tailed fox emperor would have long sought out the snow demon to settle the score. Even though the snow demon was only a half-step transcendent state, he was almost unkillable within the snowy mountains. That was the most troublesome part. Because of that, even though the nine-tailed fox emperor's cultivation was above the snow demon's, she couldn't do anything to him. However, in the Black Temple, the nine-tailed fox emperor could control these 99 puppets. Therefore, the nine-tailed fox emperor didn't fear any transcendent emperor here. However, the nine-tailed fox emperor would never have dreamed that Ji Yufei had actually recovered his cultivation in the little virtual sky world. The current Ji Yufei was a true infinite prime. In Ji Yufei's eyes, these puppets were just like trash. In fact, he could destroy them with a single move, but he didn't do so. It would be too much of a pity to destroy these puppets. These were things that even he couldn't refine. If he could bring these things out of here, who in the entire Void Realm could be his match? He was even confident that he could put up a fight against the limitless Demon King. The puppets were sent flying in all directions like cannonballs. Dense sounds of them landing on the ground rang out continuously. There were even a few puppets that smashed into the hall. The nine-tailed fox emperor was frightened out of her wits. Before the nine-tailed fox emperor could recover from her shock, a figure flashed in front of her and appeared in front of her. The nine-tailed fox emperor looked up and almost fell off her throne. The newcomer was the human expert who had sent the 99 transcendent emperor puppets flying with a single move. How could this human named Ji Yufei be so powerful? The nine-tailed fox emperor looked up at Ji Yufei, a drop of cold sweat trickling down her forehead. Oh my, you're not bad in human form. Ji Yufei smiled evilly at the purple-clothed nine-tailed fox emperor. The nine-tailed fox emperor was scared out of her wits. She felt as weak as an ant in front of this human. What? Am I qualified to be your master? Ji Yufei said smugly. Yes. No. I don't want you to be my master. The nine-tailed fox emperor was on the verge of tears. She was the empress here. She was the only one who could be someone else's master. How could anyone else be her master? If you don't want to be her master, how about I be your master then? Right at this moment, a voice sounded out from outside the palace, and then a figure directly walked in from outside the palace. This person was precisely the shaman emperor. Hey, what's the meaning of this? Didn't you say that if I could tame this little fox, she would be mine? Ji Yufei was displeased. You're a man. You're not suitable to be the master of a little fox. The witch emperor said. The moment Ji Yufei heard this, he did not know what to say. All right, let's leave it at that. The witch emperor's tone was as cold as ever. Ji Yufei was speechless. It was only then that he realized that if a woman, and a beautiful one at that, were to act shamelessly, there was no logic to it at all. They had an agreement before, but now, she was reneging on her promise to Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei was incomparably gloomy, but he could not get angry. Who was he supposed to reason with? Master. The nine-tailed fox emperor's figure flashed and appeared in front of the witch emperor. She knelt down. She did not want to acknowledge Jiyu Fei as her master. In the eyes of the nine-tailed fox emperor, if she had to acknowledge a master, she would not choose Jiyu Fei. Because Jiyu Fei was too strong. If she acknowledged such a master, she would definitely be suppressed. But it was different with the witch emperor. At least the witch emperor was a woman. Between two women, it was much easier to talk. Jiyu Fei had the intention to kill. These two fellows must have discussed this beforehand. Her cultivation is higher than yours. Be careful that she kills you and leaves. You'll regret it then, Jiyu Fei said in a displeased tone. Yeah, why didn't I think of this? Alright, how about you do a good deed and place a restrictive spell on her? Help her, the witch emperor said to Jiyu Fei. Chapter 53-63. Jiyu Fei easily broke into the Black Hall and took care of the 99 Transcendent Emperor realm puppets with a single move. He then appeared in front of the nine-tailed fox emperor in the main hall of the Black Hall. The nine-tailed fox emperor was scared silly by this scene. Jiyu Fei's strength had far exceeded her expectations. He was simply too strong. He was so strong that she was as weak as an ant in front of him. In front of Jiyu Fei, the nine-tailed fox emperor could not even muster the thought of resisting. She realized that she and Jiyu Fei were on a completely different level. In other words, Jiyu Fei's cultivation base had exceeded hers by a realm. What realm was that? The nine-tailed fox emperor was extremely curious. She had just learned that there was an even higher realm in this world. At this moment, the witch emperor wanted Jiyu Fei to help her set up a restrictive spell on the nine-tailed fox emperor to prevent her from causing trouble. Alright, sigh. As Jiyu Fei spoke, he tapped his finger against the center of the nine-tailed fox emperor's brows before tapping his finger against the center of the shaman emperor's brows. His speed was swift to the extreme, and even the shaman emperor and the nine-tailed fox emperor were unable to avoid his attack. What's going on? This. The witch emperor and nine-tailed fox emperor felt that something had appeared in their minds. Alright, the life and death of this little fox depends on a single thought of yours. Jiyu Fei said. Such a restrictive spell. The witch emperor was both surprised and delighted. She had gained quite a lot today. Not only did she get a pet, but she also obtained a restrictive spell that could control any living being. At this moment, the nine-tailed fox emperor was terrified to the extreme. Her life and death were under the control of the human race. A single thought from the human master could kill her. At the thought that she would be someone else's pet from now on, the nine-tailed fox emperor almost went crazy. I'm going out to watch a show. Jiyu Fei turned and left. At this moment, Man Kuang was fighting with the flying tiger emperor and the mysterious snake emperor in the sky. Man Kuang was truly arrogant. Fighting 1 against 2, he kept pushing the flying tiger emperor and the mysterious snake emperor back. The battle outside is still more intense. Jiyu Fei walked out of the Black Temple and began to watch the show. He was a person who knew how to enjoy life. He immediately took out a chair from his inner world and lay down on it. Then, he took out some celestial brew, drank wine, and watched the show. The sorcerer emperor and the nine-tailed fox emperor also came out. What? Are you unhappy? The shaman emperor came to Jiyu Fei's side and said. What do you think? Jiyu Fei said gloomily. How about I owe you a favor? The witch emperor said. This is not bad. Jiyu Fei nodded. Tell them to stop. The shaman emperor said as he looked at the 3 emperor realm experts fighting in the sky. These were all emperor realm cultivators. Any one of them would be an overlord in their own right. And now, these 3 great emperor stage practitioners were the shaman emperor's subordinates. She didn't want these fellows to die. Yes, master. The nine-tailed fox emperor was about to stop them. Wait, stop them. What show am I watching? That big guy has been bullied by you for so long. It's good to let him vent. Jiyu Fei hurriedly stopped the shaman emperor. Man Kuang had been bullied by the Sky Serpent Emperor and the Flying Tiger Emperor for tens of thousands of years. Jiyu Fei was right. Man Kuang needed to vent, and he needed to vent. He had been living in this place for tens of thousands of years. The shaman emperor thought about it and said nothing. Boom. At this time, Man Kuang punched out and sent the flying tiger emperor flying. Roar. He roared and was about to give chase. But at this time, the sky serpent emperor charged over. The sky serpent emperor had transformed into a tall and skinny middle-aged man. His arms were much longer than an ordinary person's. The sky serpent emperor's arms were like two battle spears, stabbing at Man Kuang. Man Kuang didn't care so much and greeted with a punch. Crack. Man Kuang punched out and broke the sky serpent emperor's long spear arms. The sky serpent emperor screamed and retreated. With the sky serpent emperor blocking him, the flying tiger emperor regained his breath and attacked Man Kuang again. The sky serpent emperor and the flying tiger emperor would not be defeated by Man Kuang for the time being. In fact, with Man Kuang's cultivation and fighting strength, it was impossible for him to kill the sky serpent emperor and the flying tiger emperor in one go. However, the sky serpent emperor and the flying tiger emperor were still at a disadvantage. Who do you think will win? Ji Fei asked the shaman emperor beside him. Is there a need to ask? The shaman emperor said helplessly. How could Ji Fei not know the truth of this battle? Man Kuang was bound to win, but even if he could defeat the sky serpent emperor and the flying tiger emperor, he would suffer a great loss. This was the last thing the shaman emperor wanted to see. These guys were all his subordinates. Losing any one of them would be a great loss to him. You're so boring. Ji Fei said. This shaman emperor always had a cold look on his face. You're interesting, the shaman emperor said indifferently. Ji Fei was speechless. Not only was this shaman emperor an icy beauty, she was also extremely bad at chatting. With just a single sentence, the conversation would die. Ji Fei shook his head, helplessly grabbed the wine jar and gulped down a mouthful of wine. You too, today I'll let you have a taste of my self-created mad fist. Man Kuang said as he changed his fist stance. In the next moment, an incomparably powerful wave of yuan qi exploded from his hand. Interesting. Seeing this scene, Ji Fei smiled. This Man Kuang was really something, to think that he could create his own cultivation technique. Not everyone could create their own cultivation technique. Moreover, for someone at Man Kuang's level, once he created his own cultivation method, it would definitely be suitable for him. This kind of cultivation method would naturally be the most powerful. Because only a cultivation method that was created by oneself was most suitable for oneself. Most of Ji Fei's cultivation methods were self-created. At Ji Fei's cultivation realm, it was not easy to create his own cultivation method. Don't hide anymore. Attack with all your strength. The mysterious snake emperor shouted at the flying tiger emperor. Together, the flying tiger emperor transformed into a tall, majestic, and ferocious man with tiger stripes on his face. Sky-splitting tiger claw. The flying tiger emperor roared and slashed at Man Kuang with his claws. His sharp claws shone with a cold light. If his claws were to land, even Man Kuang would have a chunk of flesh torn off his body. Sky-piercing spear. The mysterious snake emperor also made his move. The mysterious snake emperor's long arms turned into two sharp rays of divine light that pierced towards Man Kuang. Die. At this moment, Man Kuang roared and punched out. Rumble, an extremely violent fist force immediately erupted from his fist. Like a stormy sea, it crushed towards the mysterious serpent emperor and the flying tiger emperor who were attacking him. His punch was extremely powerful and unstoppable. What? The mysterious snake emperor and the flying tiger emperor were shocked. The fist that was coming towards them was like a mountain crushing towards them. They could not block it at all. It was too late for them to stop their attacks and escape. They could only bite the bullet and fight the lunatic Man Kuang. Boom! With a loud bang, the three forces instantly collided with each other. The entire void shook, and a terrifying energy storm spread out in all directions. Even the clouds in the sky were dispersed. The three figures were sent flying. The sorcerer emperor was a little nervous seeing this. She did not care about the mysterious snake emperor and the flying tiger emperor, but Man Kuang used to be her subordinate. Although he had acknowledged Ji Fei as his master, he was still an old friend. She did not want Man Kuang to die. Both sides are injured.